first time. I wasn't here the second time. I was here the second time.
Talk about 20 years away, man.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Only when we're on the air. I'd like to call the Select Board's meeting of October 1st, 2025 to order at 6:30. Jim, do we have any need for non-public tonight?
We do not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We'll start our regular meeting then. The first thing on our agenda is minutes, September 3rd.
Mr. Chairman, I have a few changes.
Yep.
On line 222, there is in there twice at the end. And then the following sentence has if they in twice. So those need to be corrected. And then on 292, it's where you have F, discussion of ice time agreements. That needs to be moved in front of the motion. And then on line 358, it should read, and this is, I'm speaking, a 2007 water moratorium led Wolfeboro to develop a safe water yield and water pond level. In 2004, Wright Pierce designed a new water system source from Clark Road. And that's all I have.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
page 9, line 131. It's just a typo on the sentence. It says, could get an example from another museum such as the Wright, and it's just a misspelling. It's W-R-I-G-H-T. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Somebody have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of September 17th, 2025 as amended.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next on our agenda is public input.
We have another set of minutes. We have the one for September 10th. They're just
Okay,
basic.
excuse me, September 10th.
Move to approve the minutes of September 10th,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay, public input. Limited 3 minutes per resident, 20 minutes total. Anybody want to speak to us right now?
Good evening, Select Board. My name is Charlene Seibel. I know I only have 3 minutes, so I'm... Oh, can you hear me now? Oh, turn the mic on. Hello?
on.
Can everybody hear me now?
Better, good.
Okay, I'll get a little closer to it. So I'm going to try to speak very quickly but very clearly. I have 3 basic issues I want to address. I know you're going to be considering public input regarding the senior center this evening, and I'm not sure when that's supposed to occur, but I would just like to put in my strong, enthusiastic vote that we use a lovely town-owned facility for the new senior center, that being our train depot. I would call it the train station, but Yellowstone has given that sort of a bad connotation, so I'm just going to refer to it as the train depot. So I'm very much in support. I understand right now, I believe we lease it to the Chamber of Commerce for not very much money, and that in turn the Chamber is able to make money by subletting, and I would just hope that the Select Board would consider reclaiming that lovely piece of town property and using it for something that we greatly need, which is a senior center. That's number 1. Number 2, I see on the agenda there's going to be a discussion about paving of Trask Mountain Road, and before I get too deep into that, I'd like some clarification. Is that for the existing paved portion from Diamond's Corner to between Divine Farm and Berkowitz? Is that for paving the entirety of Trask Mountain Road?
Jim?
I believe that item has been tabled until the 15th.
I'm sorry, it's
That item has been tabled until the 15th.
of October?
Correct.
May I go ahead and provide some public input, since I was not aware that that had been tabled because it appears on tonight's agenda? Okay, so I have a number of questions which I hope that when you take this up on the 15th, you will address, and obviously I will be here for that since I live on Trask Mountain Road and I'm in a butter. I'd like to know, first of all, when did the Public Works Department meet with the North Wolfeboro Area Association to notify us of the plans and to collaborate with us? Okay, well, you'll have time now. You'll have time to find that out. That's my first question. My handwriting is terrible, but I'm happy to leave my notes so you'll have all the questions for when you discuss this. Okay, so the first question was, when did the Public Works Department meet with the North Wolfeboro Area Association? Then my second question is, when did the Public Works Department consult with the community as called for in the Rural Roads Ordinance/policy? The next C question, when was the actual analysis of need/benefit/impact presented to the North Wolfeboro Area Association and other residents? Question/statement D, as you should know, any change to a scenic road must first go before the planning board, and then the town must hold a public hearing. When did the previous Trask Mountain Road paving project from Diamond's Corner to Divine Farm, I believe it was completed about 2 years ago, when did that go before the planning board? I never received notice of a public hearing on that work, which is required because I'm in a butter. When did the current Trask Mountain Road paving proposal go before the planning board, and when is the hearing scheduled? And I just want to read a little quick thing which confuses me after my visit to the planning department today. It's about, the AI shortened version of the restrictions and how our ordinances have to comply with the RSA, and modifications, tree cutting, disturbances of stone walls, paving, et cetera, has to go before the planning board. And there has to be a hearing. And it says at the bottom, for specific details, including the complete list of designated scenic roads or current regulations, you can contact the Town of Wolfeboro Planning Department or review the full ordinance text on the town's website. And since I had to be in town today anyway, I made a little visit to the planning department, and I spoke with the lovely new secretary, Lindsay, and I told her the information I was looking for. And so she's new, so she didn't know. So she had to go talk to Bill Scott. So she went and talked to Bill Scott, and then she came back and relayed that he had said that scenic roads had nothing to do with the planning department, and I would need to talk to the to the select board, which I found curious because I would think that town ordinances and requirements of planning board oversight and whatnot would be part of the planning department, but according to Bill Scott, it's not. So here I am. And so I guess that leads me to another question, which was when the previous work was done from Diamond's Corner to between the end of Divine Farms road frontage, did that go before the planning board? I think I already asked that, but also I think the contractor was from Freedom, and if it didn't go before the planning board, that's a violation because it's a designated scenic road. So I'm just, putting that out there so that maybe you can do some research on that. And that's my 3 minutes, but last but not least, this is a question to you, Jim Pinio, regarding my 91A request from 21 November 2024 regarding a Kingswood coach having liquor in a Pop Whalen locker room that our students use. I have not received any information, and after the budget meeting on September 15th, I spoke to you afterwards to just find out what was going on, and it's been almost 2.5 weeks, and I haven't heard an update. So I'm just wanting to find out if you could, please make a note. I just wanted to be on record that I still am waiting to get the information from that 91A request that I made last November 21st regarding the Kingswood coach having liquor in a locker room that our students use. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wants to speak to us right now?
Suzanne Ryan, just a quick one. Your new website, I can't connect to you tonight and listen to you like I usually do. It says, "We're sorry, but there is not a web page matching your entry." So my thought was, can you have some sort of a, what do they call it, tutorial thing put on here? Or can you hold something for people that are ignorant of this ability to use this new site? Thank you.
Bobby Bedman, I was actually going to talk about that too. I feel like we did a launch a little earlier than we should have on the website. I was trying to find a plethora of documents over since it's launched, and they're all sort of dead links going nowhere. You guys are about to take a bulk vote on some annual tax exemptions of property, and I'm just wondering if all of you know what you're bulk voting on and if you've looked at the exemptions per property. I also believe that the citizens in town need to understand the amount of funding that Brewster Academy receives in an abatement, especially now that our state has moved forward with universal school vouchers, and they'll be receiving funds that way too. I think the citizens, especially coming up on this warrant for, and I know this might seem like it doesn't make sense that I'm talking about it here, but it does, because we do give that tax abatement. Our school warrant budget is going to declare the cost per student to attend our GWRSD schools. And I think it would be nice for the citizens to understand the impact, the cost per student that we are paying with this tax abatement and other things going to Brewster Academy. But there's another one on there that I'm a little bit curious about. Taylor Community, I know that with the schools, we don't abate any of the living spaces, so I'm just curious, when you take this bulk vote tonight, if you've looked at the actual abatement and the exemption for Taylor and how much they're receiving due to the fact that is a more higher upper echelon wealth community, that the citizens there are the ones with the access to their pool and everything. So is it truly a nonprofit in our town? And as to the train station, I'll talk about that when you get to that part of.
Anybody else right now? Okay, we'll move on to our first public hearing. Unanticipated funds. Wolfeboro Select Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Acceptance of unanticipated funds for an amount that is greater than $10,000. Ones with RSA 31:95-B relative to Wolfeboro's portion, hazardous household hazardous waste facility funding funds. This has to do with the intermunicipal agreement with Alton. Program was dissolved by vote of Alton and Wolfeboro Select Boards earlier this year. The towns will split the funds. Funds will be posted to the hazardous waste revenue line and returned to the general fund. Town of Wolfeboro's portion is $70,077.11. This is a public hearing. Anybody want to speak to this? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Board? Linda?
Yeah, I just had one question, and I had it answered. I'd asked whether the Attorney General's office had accepted the dissolving of that municipal agreement, and they had. So I don't see any problem with it.
Paul?
No, I was going to ask Jim. I thought he was going to speak to that, but thank you for doing that, Linda. So I'm going to make a motion to accept unanticipated funds for an amount greater than $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95-B relative to the Wolfeboro's portion of the hazardous waste facility funds, intramural agreement with Alton and Wolfeboro. The program has been dissolved by a vote of the Alton and Wolfeboro Select Boards earlier this year. The towns will split the funds. The funds will be posted in the household waste revenue line and returned to the general fund, and our portion is $70,077.11.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Anybody opposed?
Okay.
Okay. The Wolfeboro Select Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. at the Great Hall, 84 South Main Street, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, for the acceptance of unanticipated funds for an amount that is greater than $10,000 in accordance with RSA 31:95-B3A. Accept a donation in the amount not to exceed $60,000 from the Friends of Abenaki to cover the installation of three-phase power at the top of Abenaki for the intent of replacing the gasoline engine with an energy-efficient electric motor. Somebody speaking to this?
Thank you, Dave. My name is Alex Hunt, representative of the Friends of Abenaki. And the reason we're here this evening is to hope that you would consider allowing us to donate currently $34,605, such that Utility Services Associated can install three-phase power to the top of Abenaki with the hope of, or with the eventual completion of an installation of an electric motor to replace the gas engine that currently operates the hill. And so what questions can I answer?
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody want to speak to this? Selectmen have any questions?
Yeah, I do. I got this memorandum of understanding around 4 this afternoon, and I have no idea why we would get that when we are at a public hearing. And my understanding, if we accept funds, the wire becomes ours. So, and this memorandum is talking about them being responsible for repairs, and I don't have the time to look into why we even got that. So, you know, I don't know what we want to do, but I got in front of me that I'm being asked to accept funds, and I'm with Alex, I'm being asked to accept $34,605, and there was nothing anywhere about a memorandum.
Well, in my conversations with Mr. Muccio, his concern was if there was damage to the Hendrix system of three-phase power to the top of the hill, how would we go about fixing it? And I would agree with him, because the electric department does not currently have the equipment to handle if a tree were to fall during the dead of winter, per se. And we understand that we would have to call USA, but my question to you all is that currently, if a tree were to fall on town-owned property with a 110-volt system that is still necessary to operate the hill, how would that get fixed? And it's probably something that none of us ever really thought about, quite frankly. But I would be in agreement that it would not be necessarily an expense that the town would be expected to pick up because of this. But I do think it's something that we all need to think about. Whereas, and I agree with you, and it's kind of frustrating this came in at 4 o'clock today, but
Yep.
no, we, the existing line and excuse me, the existing power and comm line has been there since inception of the hill, more or less. I mean, within reason, you know what I mean? And so I do question why it would be, you know, the Friend of Abenaki's responsibility to repair whatever damage is happening, because we are asking that you accept a donation and it would become town-owned property. This memorandum is written for the Abenaki Outing Club, which we are not. And so it's kind of wrong from the start, unfortunately. But that being said, we do not want to own any of this infrastructure, similar to all the other infrastructure that has been accepted by the selectmen over the years. You know, if a tree or whatever were to fall on snowmaking line pipe, that has always been fixed by the town. And so I don't understand why this would be any different.
Brian?
I think what happened was an upgrade triggered people to start thinking. And Barry looked at it and said, geez, I can't repair this line. And I think his idea is people have to know that I can't repair this line. So that if we do accept the donation, it does become a town asset, and we will have to repair it going forward, like the line that's currently there. The other question that Barry had was about the connectivity of the transformers on the poles. And in 5 to 7 years, we're probably within 10 going to be upgrading that main branch, and all the transformers then would have to be dual voltage transformers up to 15 kW. So I think Barry's two things were that he just wants to make sure that we have the dual voltage transformers there, and let everybody know that he does not have the proper equipment to repair a fallen line. In the past, I guess, if a line had ever fallen, the town or the electric department would have had to call an outside contractor to fix it. And that's the way it will still be.
Okay. Regarding the transformers, What USA has quoted are not dual voltage, and the reason being is that they are effectively giving us these used transformers that they have to help the Friends of Abenaki. And Mr. Barry has said that it could be, and literally this morning when I was talking to him, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. Alex, he said it could be 20 years. I'm not certain. But with that kind of runway in front of us, we think that we can certainly fundraise, you know, for even a step-down transformer. It doesn't have to be a completely new dual voltage transformer. There are other options available to us to cure the problem if and when that, I mean, when it comes down the line.
Yep.
But the fact is, USA, with the hardware that they're going to install at a very, very, very reasonable rate, we all, including Tom, the owner of USA, thinks that this is definitely the way to go at this point.
Dave?
Okay, wait a minute, Paul.
Yeah.
I got one
Al-
quick question.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
How time sensitive is this contract with them to put the power on the lot?
This is extremely time sensitive. They would like to start as soon as tomorrow. I mean, they have a window with which to get this done before their next major job, and they obviously can't do it once the weather potentially gets slippery on the hill. And so they would very much like to get this portion of the project completed as soon as possible. And we have the funding here for you to do so, and so funds will be in hand.
Okay, Paul?
Yeah, so let's take it into bite-sized pieces, at least the way I look at it. First, thank you to the Friends of Abenaki for ponying up $34,000. It's great for the kids, and it'll save the town money in terms of electricity versus gasoline. Mm-hmm. So there's some goodness all around. I'm a bit surprised that it's not dual voltage. I think we'll probably need to have a chat with the Friends of Abenaki, because that could be in 5, 7, 10 years an added cost on us. That's part one. Part two is what we received today at 4 o'clock from Barry, bless his heart, was what is called, as I look at it from my background, and I called him, tracked him down while he was making dinner. It's an interconnection agreement. Anytime an electric company and a solar provider, or an electric company and any other power generator come together, there has to be rules. And the rules are carried by this interconnection agreement. Barry has basically identified where the demarcation between his service and the electric service on the pole will be. He's indicated, what happens if something happens, we're playing around, or somebody's playing around with the non-MED side of things. It's an interconnection agreement. That's basically what it is. I believe we have one in force at the library. I believe we have one in force with solar providers in our town. I'm not troubled. I am troubled that it showed up at 4 o'clock today. I'm not troubled that this is a document that is going to require, the Hale and Dorr law firm to negotiate it. It's simply, do we understand and agree to it? The consideration I would have is we don't start the project until we have the interconnection agreement done and the money in the bank. That's kind of where I'd go. And I'm willing to sit down with, and Dave and I sit on the Friends of Abenaki tomorrow with Barry if we can hammer it out and do it. It's going to require the select board to have to make a special, maybe tomorrow night, consideration of a signed agreement. As it relates to how this will be maintained, when we had a meeting with you folks, I think we all agreed, and it's very similar to what happens at the library. If a plane hits the roof of the library has to fix the solar panels. It'll be on the operating budget of the Hill, of Parks and Recreation, to maintain that facility. As it relates to the fact that Barry can't maintain those poles, that's why he has the interconnection agreement. He doesn't have a truck big enough to go up the hill. And so US is going to take care of that for us. And by the way, US is known to us. They're the people who did all those poles up and down the street for the past 2 years and caused trouble. So I summarize by saying, from what I've seen, I'm okay with signing it. I don't think we begin until we have the interconnection agreement done. If this board is okay with me or Dave or both of us or one of us working with Barry to get it done so that we could have a special meeting to approve it, that's the way I'd do it. We have an offer. It makes sense. We want to get it done before the season opens, or not. So that's kind of where I am.
Linda?
Yeah, I've got, it's nice you called Barry and got him out from his dinner. All of us did that. It kind of overrides his private life. And so I expect when I come to a meeting and have a packet that I have the information and I have the time to be able to look into it. What we are asking, if we accept the money tonight, it becomes ours. And so I have problems when it seems like the expense then gets shifted to the Abenaki Outing Club instead of to the town.
Which, Linda, is the wrong organization altogether.
I get,
Okay.
that's why I was
Just
kind
to
of
be
pointing.
crystal clear on
That's part of why I was pointing it out. This is what we get. So my feeling is, I accept the $34,605 and get the thing started, and we own it. We own everything else up there. So that's what we're stepping on. We realize that if something happens, we could have a big price tag on it. So I don't see a need for a memorandum of understanding unless there's something that I'm missing here, that if it's ours, it's ours.
The only piece that I would say is, are the Friends of Abenaki willing to agree to upgrading the transformers when they need to be done as an additional donation down the road, or does that fall on the town's fund?
So I think that in our discussions, Brian, is that we are non-decisive, quite frankly, on that. And whereas we have the amount of time to, Barry literally told me, Alex, it could be 20 years. It probably won't be, but that came from his mouth. And so there really is no immediate date that has been decided as to when that will happen. And quite frankly, it's not like these are, I believe, pole-mounted are not a substantial expense. Tom Skeffington, the owner of USA, said if you were going to go with a pad mount transformer, that will double the cost of my bid. So that's unreasonable for us. We can't afford that. And so I do think that it would be something that we would certainly work with the town to accomplish. That's the purpose of our organization. Is to fund and facilitate infrastructure improvements at Abenaki. That's what we do, along with Bo and Christine and the staff. And we want to have a symbiotic relationship with everyone to make this continue to happen for everyone.
And what you've done that with just about every piece of equipment up on the hill. So I want people to really understand that.
We have maintenance on our pumps coming up that we know about, but beyond that, there's not a lot left to do. It's not going to get taller, and we have no interest in a J-bar or a T-bar or any other. This is our people moving infrastructure. And so, when I'm told that it could be 5 to 10 years, that is more than enough time with which to plan for an upgrade when the time comes. And it would be something that we would want to do together. Right, Bill? Am I wrong? So.
Paul, did you have something else?
Yeah, I heard what Linda had to say. Whenever there's customer-owned and maintained equipment that is provided so that the utility can interconnect to it, there normally is an interconnection type of an agreement. It's the library, I believe, has one of these agreements for their solar system. And we probably want to have one here, again, to identify. It always gets down to, well, where does your stuff end and my stuff begin? We want to have that documented. And Barry whether it came in at 4 o'clock, he's right.
Well, it
could
will
we-
never be the Friends of Abenaki stuff.
It'll
If you
be
accept
our
the gift,
stuff.
it will be the town
And
of
we're a
Wolfeboro's stuff.
customer of the MED.
The question that I believe you have is where the liability falls to maintain said stuff.
So
Correct?
I still do think there is one required, Linda, even though we own it.
Well, then
but I'm
it's
not
within,
willing to-
it's within us as the town,
Yeah.
between that, so it doesn't relate to this.
It doesn't.
Okay. We can argue about whether we need it or not, and
Yeah.
you may be absolutely right, Paul, but I just don't think it relates to this.
So
what
then
I'm
the
being
question is,
asked
do
to
we
vote.
accept this and start it up?
Okay. Jim, you got any thoughts on this at this point?
Just for clarity's sake, right now on Barry's CIP, that voltage conversion in that area is scheduled for 2035, so it's a few years out. I would agree with both Paul and Linda about an interconnection agreement, and that agreement should probably be with the town owning the infrastructure, and that way Parks and Rec, the Board of Selectmen, everybody understands that municipal electric is not responsible for repairs to that infrastructure, and there's going to be a cost borne on Parks and Recreation. I think that may have been unclear when Barry had this drafted.
So,
so-
I think Linda said that she didn't need an MOU, but Paul said that we did need one.
Well,
I think that what I would do is, I think we could make a motion that we accept the money and have the motion pursuant upon, that they can start right away, we accept the money, and that an MOU or an interconnection agreement is formed within 2 weeks.
Second?
I was going to say, somebody want to second that motion?
I just did.
Wait, I'm going to clarity. Are you fully aware, Brian, that interconnection is within the town of Wolfeboro? It has nothing to do with...
Correct.
Okay, as long as, and I want that part of the motion.
Correct.
It will be in a connection...
Interconnection with the town.
I'm fine with that then.
Second again.
Oh. Okay. So
Okay.
to be clear with everyone, is that it's not between the Friends of Abenaki and the town of Wolfeboro, it would be
Within the town.
The town.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
Perfect.
That's my understanding, and we have a motion and a second to that effect.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends.
Thank you.
Would you like the funding?
Yes.
Well, we have to make a motion to accept the funding, right?
right.
Was the funding in that too?
No, it was
The
not.
funding, so I'll make a motion that the town accepts the Friends of Abenaki donation of $34,605 for the Phase 3 electric power to the top of the Abenaki Ski Hill.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. When is it okay at this point to tell USA they can commence?
I would see no issues with them initiating work. I'm sure we have insurance docs from them.
Yep.
So I would see no issues with that. Christine, do you have any problems?
My only other question would, do we have a staff member that will work with USA and the Friends of Abenaki, just so that we have a town set of eyes on the project?
I think that falls under Bo in his job description currently.
Okay.
Okay.
Could we belabor this one more minute? Alex, you took the time to give us a little comparison of what it costs to run gasoline through this thing
Yes.
versus electric motor. So what's the good news for the town in this area?
Well, the good news for the town is that assuming we run for similar hours as last year and the gasoline maintains approximately $2.50, which is what we paid on average last year, that if we do install a 30 horsepower three-phase motor, which is what the engineers are leaning towards at this point, the town will save at 100% load, which is not going to happen. I mean, it never runs at full load. Approximately $2,600, $2,900 is 75%, and $3,200 at 50%, which is probably where it would end up. And that does not include the labor for Parks and Rec staff to bring
Gasoline
between
up the hill.
10 and 25 gallons of gas to the top of the hill, you know, without, you know, behind the snowmobile and such. And so this is as much a labor savings for town employees and a safety improvement for, you know, the people that use the hill as it is an infrastructure improvement. And so we didn't really talk about any of that, but thank you for bringing it up, because that was really the driver behind wanting to do this.
Quieter, cleaner?
It's everything.
All of the above.
We've spent an awful lot of money on Abenaki to depend on a 1970 rebuilt four-cylinder engine to make it all work. When you have a $200 and X thousand groomer sitting idle, potentially, if it, you know, the motor blows up, there's no point. And so this is really a pretty insignificant expense as a function of what has been spent. So thank you very much.
Thank you to the Friends of Abernathy.
Thank you,
Good
Alan.
job. Thank you. Give it a Dave.
Thank you.
Give it a Dave.
Good.
Big smile.
Okay, another positive. Next on our agenda, the town of Wolfeboro will be closing the community center at 32 Lana Street for the following reasons. Local government authorities have deemed the building unsafe based on health hazards and failure to comply with building and life safety codes. The Wolfeboro Select Board will take public comment on the above recommendation at their regular meeting that begins at 6:30, October 1st, 2025, in the Great Hall. Second floor, the building assessment reports are available at the town manager's office or by emailing Town Manager Secretary, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire, US. Now, just a couple of ground rules as far as I'm concerned. We know we have a lot of people here that are probably in favor, maybe some against. So I don't want to have this being everybody standing up and repeating the same thing over and over and over again. That's going to take us a long time. If you want to do that, that's fine. But my recommendation is, I think that some of these groups probably have a spokesperson, and that would make more sense. We will listen to it. It's not our intent tonight, at least I don't think it is. It's to close the building until we can figure out what we want to do with it. We have Ty and Bond, who is our engineers, that we've had conversations with. We know the parameters of what we have to do as far as who can make the plans. It has to be a licensed architect. The same with the engineering of electrical and plumbing has to be done by a licensed architect or designer. Those are all requirements of the commercial building code. So with that in mind, I guess whoever wants to start to talk to us. Just please state your name and stuff for the record.
Oh, shoot. Sorry. My name is Janet Vaughn. I'm a Wolfeboro resident, and I'm also part of I'm also a Ladies of the Lakes quilter. The community center building is the perfect size. It fits into the history of the town of Wolfeboro. It was one of the early fire stations, has been used for birthday parties, Girl Scouts, Parks and Rec, 4-H, wedding showers. The seniors use it. And we, the Ladies of the Lakes, have used this building for over 20 years. Lots of our locals who responded on Facebook have found memories of that building. One person commented, "It's an important part of town history and should be treated accordingly." When Christine came to our guild board meeting, which I believe was the end of September, and said we couldn't use it anymore, it was a gut punch to me. She said, "We want to have a safe space for our programs and renters. After examining the property, it's not safe to occupy." My first reaction was, then why are you letting us stay for a whole nother month? But that's besides the point. We did look for, excuse me, another place, and we are lucky to be able to go to the library, but that's not going to be permanent. I've lost it, hold on. I think that you could have fixed it slowly over the last 20 years. I asked for a 91A right to know for the community center capital reserve, which right now, with what I was given was it's now at $78,708.11. And the amount budgeted and spent for the maintenance of the community center for 2020 to 2024. And I was kind of surprised of what I found and what I didn't find. And then I also obtained a history of the inspections of the community center dating back to 2001. And that rear exit, which was supposed to be our second exit, there were no signs directing to that back door. The door was blocked. The rear steps didn't have required graspable handrails, and that door should have had a panic hardware, which it still doesn't have, and I don't think it ever did. We had it on the front door, but I don't think it's there now. If it's that push thing, it's not there now. There was a question whether you could use the back door as egress because you have to go through a kitchen to get there. So you took the stove out so that maybe it could be used as access, but you never fixed any of those problems in there. One of the suggestions was to remove a window and make another door for egress, and that never happened. I think, my opinion, you had the money to fix the problems in that capital reserve fund, but you didn't do it because I think you always wanted to plan to tear it down. You talked about testing for mold and asbestos in 2010 and 2024, but I haven't seen anywhere, I haven't found any record that it was done. Sarah Silk was our leader of the evening edition of the Ladies of the Lakes at the community center. She fought for that building. Sarah was allergic to a lot of things, and if there was mold in that building, she couldn't be in it. We recently got our new assessed value of our home and land values, and it more than doubled. I just came from the food pantry here in Wolfeboro, where my husband and I volunteer. We served over 230 clients today, and that seems to be the norm now. I don't think people want to pay for a new building or have higher taxes. We just want the community center brought to the safe code. We don't need a $4 million Taj Mahal, which, if approved, won't be ready for years anyway. So that's what I have to say.
Okay. Anybody else?
Sorry, we're talking about different things, but we're from the same organization. My name is Susan Bunting, and I've been a 40-year resident here in Wolfeboro. I moved here in 1985. And you've heard from me before, and you're going to hear from me again. I'm here to ask you not to close the community center, and I'm going to give you some reasons why. I worked in Portsmouth all my life, and so I was commuting here from Wolfeboro, so I never really got a chance to be involved in anything Wolfeboro. My job left me little time to do that. But upon retirement, I joined the Ladies of the Lake Quilters Guild, and I became its president in 2013. At that time, Sarah Silk was the chair of the board of Selectmen. And she was also an advocate, a strong advocate for the Ladies of the Lake Quilters Guild. As Janet just said, the evening edition would sew at the community center the first, third, and fifth Tuesdays of the month because they were working folks. But then when I was president of the guild, there were a lot of people that said, we only meet twice a month. We can't get as many charity quilts done in that time. We need a place to meet. So Sarah made it possible for us to meet at the community center every Monday. And we have been doing that now since 2013. Every Monday from 10 to 2, the ladies, up to 20 ladies, meet at the community center. Because it became so popular, the electrical system was really inadequate. We were blowing fuses, it wasn't working for us. We had electric cords strung all over the floor from the outlets on the walls. People were going to trip. So Sarah and I negotiated an agreement with the town of Wolfeboro at that time, and she got in touch with Rick Burns. You may remember this was back in October 13th of 2013, and for the price of $2,089, this is what that man did. He ran 4 new 20-amp dedicated circuits to supply power to the 4 irons that we used. He installed 5 new floor outlets, so we didn't have to use electrical cords, with heavy-duty brass plates. He ran 3 new 20-amp dedicated circuits. I'm just going to run through this fast. Existing receptacles were bad. He replaced all of those. He installed new 4-foot 2-lamp wraparound fixtures between the existing whatever. Upon inspecting the center's service load center, he put a new panel in. He ran 2 new circuits. He did a lot of work in that center, upgrading the electrical system. And in all the years we've been there, we have never blown a fuse. We have never had a problem with using our 20 sewing machines that are humming at the same time and our 2 irons. So for our dedication and our contribution, the Ladies of the Lake, instead of spending their money on charity quilts, we donated $2,962 to the town of Wolfeboro to upgrade that electrical system because it was with our 501c3 mission. We needed to make quilts, and we needed a good place to do it. And I know you've seen this letter, but I want to read it for the record. Dear Mrs. Bunting, I am pleased to confirm that the Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen, acting at their November 6, 2013 meeting, voted as follows: to approve the acceptance of a gift of a donation in the amount of $2,962 from the Ladies of the Lake Quilters Guild, Inc., for certain desired electrical upgrades at the community center. In consideration for which the town agrees to fund a portion of needed electrical upgrades at the community center at an estimated cost of $717.59. That was the town's contribution. And to waive in perpetuity, I will repeat that, to waive in perpetuity the annual use fee for the use of the community center for the Ladies of the Lake Quilters Guild. Let me repeat that one more time. And to waive in perpetuity the annual fee for use of the community center for the Ladies of the Lake Quilters Guild. On behalf of the Board of Selectmen and the town, I thank you and your organization for this generous gift of the community, and I look forward to its implementation. Please let me know if this office can be of any other service in this or other regards. Sincerely, David W. Owen, Town Manager. Board of Selectmen at that time who approved this: Sarah Silk, Chairman; Linda Murray, Vice Chairman; David Senecal, David Bowers, and Brad Harriman. We have enjoyed this space for over 25 years and had no idea that we were in a building that is, and this is your quote from you, Mr. Pinio, in one of your memos, that the building is probably one of the greatest threats as a community and should be taken down. That was in your memo to David Senecal on July 1st, 2022. You said, I feel this building is probably one of our greatest threats as a community and would like to see if the boss might have an interest in taking it down. The established CRF in 2011 has about $93,000. That's the Capital Reserve Fund, $93,000. That started in 2011, but now we've had $93,000 in the account. At a minimum, I feel we should have the building assessed for asbestos, lead, mold, etc., and consider having public hearings to raise the building. Memo, July 1st, 2022. When we learned this late August from Parks and Rec that the LLQG had until the end of September, that's 1 month, to vacate the community center and find a new location, as the building was going to be closed permanently with a plan to tear it down. We had little time to even question this decision. We scrambled to find a new location. And I really have to thank Allison and Joyce at the library because they bent over backwards to waive the 26 times that any nonprofit is allowed to use the library. And in return, the Ladies of the Lake agreed that we would teach classes to middle school children on an after-school basis, and I would write a grant to the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation to try to get 10 sewing machines that the library would allow us to store so that we could teach the classes. Therefore, we would become a program of the library. So that's how we got past the 26 weeks that we were allowed to use it. It's a lot of work on all of our parts. And I really want to thank you, Linda. I want to thank you, Brian, for meeting with me and with Janet. Linda spent 3.5 hours with us, bringing us up to speed. I had no idea what you people do, and I do respect it. You have a lot of work. But going back through all the memos, all the finances, everything all the way back about the community center was really an eye-opener. In 2011, as I just said, there was a capital reserve fund established for $93,000, and in 2022, it was down to 93 million. No, 93,000. And in 2022, it was down to 78,000. That's a difference of $14,000. Does anyone know what that was spent on?
I do believe that was on the Phase 1 environmental assessment that was performed in conjunction with municipal electric on both of those buildings back there.
On the community center?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
It was a fee split of 17,000 or so by out of the community center budget and 17,000 out of municipal electric.
Okay. And my understanding from the memo that you sent, in 2011, a capital reserve fund was established, quote, for the purposes inclusive of any of the following actions related to the Firehouse Community Center facility: acquisition of property, architectural engineering fees, rehabilitation of property, construction, or reconstruction of property. I don't see anywhere in there that says that the money can be used to tear it down, and that's what we were told, that there was money available to tear it down. But I don't see it in this memo. Would someone like to correct me?
We're here to collect information
All right.
tonight.
Okay. Let's see. In 2020, $7,024 was budgeted annually for the community center. Set in 2021, $3,463 for maintenance. Same thing in 22, same thing in 23, same thing in 24. $3,463. And the bulk of that went for cleaning, not for fixing anything in that building. In 2024, there's a memo from Fire Chief Tom Zotti to Christine Collins and James Pinio, and that really caught my attention. This was February 20th, 2024. Please be advised, I inspected the building with Jim Aponis this morning. There are a few issues outstanding. Emergency lights and exit lights signs were not operational. Jim will look at replacing the batteries. 2, the boiler has not had preventative maintenance done on it since 2021. Jim will schedule with a technician for a cleaning. 3, rear exit door to outside swings inward against egress. 4, rear exit door has a slide bolt lock, which is not compliant. 5, rear exit stairs have no graspable handrails on either side. The fire alarm systems and the extinguishers are current. So, contemplating what the future of the building might be and understanding we may be hesitant to spend significant dollars on it, I offer up the following. We limit the occupant load to 49. This will allow the single main exit to be compliant. It also means items 3, 4, and 5 about the rear exit go away. I want to reread that. So contemplating what the future of the building might be and understanding we may be hesitant to spend significant dollars on it, I offer up the following. We limit the occupant level load to 49. This will allow the single main exit to be compliant. It also means items 3, 4, and 5 of the rear exit door go away. Discussion with Parks and Rec staff indicates the actual use of the facility would not be impacted. The only change as discussed with Jim A is that the exit sign leading to the rear exit would have to be covered. I suggest covering it as the emergency lights would remain operational. Please understand, I throw this out there because it's a town-owned building. This is not something we would do with a private building, as we have much more control over how this building is used and can adjust accordingly. Please advise how would you like to proceed. Thanks, Thomas Zotti. 49 people. We have never had 49 people in there. And yet one of the excuses of why we can't stay in there is because there's no rear exit door. Number 4, finally, the capital improvement plan from Parks and Rec that addressed the community center really caught my attention. Right now, the current general fund debt for Wolfeboro is $27,219,000, with $2,584,000 in payment for 2025. The public safety building for $13.1 million added $950,000 annually to the debt service. The total debt service right now for Wolfeboro residents is $37,362,000. And why I'm saying that is because it leads me to the next piece, which is the Parks and Recreation Plan, their capital improvement program going forward. And this is what the document says. In 2026, $250,000 should be in a warrant article for engineering and site development of the community center. At this time, it is recommended that the current community center be raised in 2026, which should be discussed by the select board in the near future. A full project should be taken under consideration as part of the 2027 warrant. We're looking at a total cost for this project of $250,000 on the warrant article in 2026 for site development and a total of $4,215,000 on the 2027 warrant article. With $37 million and $37,362,000 of debt service now in Wolfeboro, why, when we don't need a new community center, would we add another $4 million to the debt? Which I guarantee you by 2027, it won't be $4 million. It will be much, much more. So in closing, I think we all know and that the community center has not been kept up. It needs to be kept up. It's well established that it's been neglected, and there's plenty of blame to go around. We, the ladies of the lake, we just let Sarah Silk take care of everything. We didn't even ask her. We just showed up, and we quilted. And I do find it interesting that all this time that the quilters have been using the community center, it was never too dangerous for us to be there. And suddenly, in 1 month, it's too dangerous, and we need to close it. So going forward, let us work together to keep this quaint and historic firehouse community center not only open, but let's refurbish it with both existing public and private funds, and I'm talking about the Capital Reserve Fund. And let it, generations from now, enjoy this very quaint and historic building in Wolfeboro. And I thank you for listening to me.
I'm going to make one quick comment in reference to the, quote, $39 million of debt service. That was not anything that the Board of Selectmen adopted. That was all done through warrant articles over the years, of which the people of the town of Wolfeboro voted in favor of. So they were well aware, at least as far as I'm concerned, that each one of these projects, whether it was the public safety building, the library, the hockey rink, and so forth, they all approved that to go on to our warrant, and they wanted to pay for it. So to say that some people have made the statement that we are the cause of all of this debt service, that's not true. What we did was the same as predecessors before us, put these out in warrant articles, and you as a public voted in favor of these projects. So for somebody to tell me that I'm responsible personally for all of this debt service, I'm not going to stand up for that. That's not true. It's not true. The public was the one who voted it in, and they are paying for it. And we're probably going to do the same thing with other projects in the future, and the public will have a chance to vote on the warrant articles. If they like them, they vote in favor. If they don't vote in favor. People have not liked the budgets that have been presented over the last couple of years. They didn't vote in favor. We have to deal with that. So for people to tell me that I'm responsible, I'm not going to accept that.
I
Sorry.
never said you were responsible, David.
Well, I'm not saying that you did, but other people have.
I am saying
I just
that
wanted
this is the
people to know-
fact. We have a huge debt service in this community, and let's not add to it.
Don't
That's
you
all.
think we know that?
Thank you.
We know that.
Bobby Budman again. I'm going to stand up here and tell you, yes, you are responsible for the debt service. And here is why.
I'm not going to accept that.
We, the voters, when we receive our warrant and we look through our warrant articles and we discuss them and we see the amounts on them and we see the votes on them, something comes before the public. And every time we have a warrant, our select board advises us what's good for us, what's good for our town. And the citizens rely on your voice. Okay, Dave? So when we see that our select board has voted 5-0 in favor of something that our town should do, and then underneath that, we see on that warrant, 0 effect for 22, 0 effect for 23, 0 effect for 24. People don't realize that 10 years from now, they're going to be paying on that bond. So yes, Dave, you are responsible. And we as a town are responsible for doing a better job of saying what the true fiscal impact is when we have a warrant article. That's on us. That's on you. And we need to do that. That aside, because this has opened up a little bit, I want to talk about the train station. I want to talk about there are two things happening right now, and they are in conjunction with each other. One, our citizens in our town are older. They are senior citizens, and they deserve a permanent place. They deserve a place where we are providing recreation for them. They deserve a space where they have a recreation center. We need a recreation parks program that works with our seniors. And we have a facility in this town that we do not have to wait 2 years, 5 years to build out. We have the train station. It is time we take back our property. That property is leased right now to the chamber, and the chamber subleases that property. We make $322.85 a month off of the train station on that lease for $3,874.20 a year. They pay a portion of the taxes of $1,669. We then pay a town employee to be over at the train station. So now we're already talking about we have an employee over that train station that could still be doing the job for the town in the train station. And last year, the annual salary we paid for that was $11,171. That could be added into that space overseeing a senior center. Now, I know everybody said we have one more year on this lease for the chamber. That is not true. The lease was a 5-year lease. The lease began, if you read the lease, it says beginning January 1, 2021. Then it says ending December 31st, 2026. That's 6 years, not 5 years in this lease. This lease is up this year. It is not up a year from now. It is time to reclaim our space. We are losing money on that train station. The chamber makes money off of us. We still handle all the bathroom duties over there, over $16,000 a year to maintain those bathrooms. We're invested in that train station. Give it to our seniors. Open up a proper senior center, not just for people to sew, but a real senior center where they can go and, yes, play chair volleyball. It's time for our seniors to have a space in this town. There's plenty of them that support our town. We should support our seniors. Thank you.
So I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm Richard Odell, and a resident of Wolfeboro. Thanks very much. I'm Richard Odell and a resident of Wolfeboro. I'd like to just second Bobby's comment. Yes, indeed, we look up to the Board of Selectmen to tell us what they think about the warrant articles. When you approve the warrant articles, when you vote for them, we believe you. Maybe we shouldn't, but we do. And I'd like to remind everybody here that the town is operating under default budget for the second year. The citizens of Wolfeboro are looking to this board to set the stage for fiscal prudence. We've heard that this building is not in imminent need of action for public safety. There are alternate venues for community centers around town right at this point in time. As Bobby said, the possibility of the train station, the Nick, Abenaki, Kingswood, the library, the Maker's Mill, which is now complete, and this great hall. So I'd like to determine just what the plan is for the expenditure of any additional dollars for this particular building, especially given that we're just being told that, gee, $4 million is what we're looking at. We would hope there might be a plan behind this somewhere. We know we've just had a new planning person installed. Is this going to be the same plan going forward? So, there's one other thing that impacts this. If you're thinking of coming to us for a warrant article for $4 million for this, we were told at the last year that there's $13 million waiting in the wings for new water and sewer system work that has to be done. May not be this year, may not be next year, but it's coming down the pike. Are we taking this into consideration? So if you think about our $30 million, $39 million debt load right now, and you're talking about this $4 million, you're talking about an additional $13 million a couple of years, a few years down the pike. I think we're looking to you for the fiscal prudence that we're all expecting. So I'd like to ask the select board to pass a motion to delay any action on this building, which requires the expenditure of any public funds until a year from now, so that we can take the time to figure out where this fits into the planning overall in the town of Wolfeboro, how we can finance that, whether we can get public funds or private funds to help with this project, and going forward with a plan that actually works for this, rather than a knee-jerk reaction to, I'd like to tear this down and build another building. I'd like to also notice that the law requires notice and a hearing before demolition, and any owner, or in the case of the town-owned building, the taxpayers are the owners, must be given an opportunity to contest the findings that the structure is unsafe. So we intend to do that as citizens of Wolfeboro. And we understand that, yes, Wolfeboro does have the capability and ability to not fund maintenance for a building and then decide that it's unsafe. But we hope you wouldn't do that sort of thing. So I'd like you to consider taking that and making the pledge that we won't spend public funds, any public funds on this building for the next year.
Thank you.
Linda?
I just need to check. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Yes, I would like to talk about the CIP process. The CIP committee takes a look at the different projects coming on. So what you have seen is a CIP submittal form. The CIP committee has not finished and have a final report. But as of last Monday, this project, the $250,000, is moved to the year 2026 and construction to 2028. As the CIP committee looks at all the capital projects over $100,000 and tries to place them out over 10 years. So we do this. So this was submitted in 2025 for 2026, but it's not going to come forward in 2026. It'll be 2027 that'll come forward. So that planning that you're asking is taking place. Also, we get a bunch of projects from the CIP committee. The Board of Selectmen does not put them all out to the voters. We sort them out, we help move them down the line, and maybe we need to be a little clearer of the ones that we move and change. And I'll take that on and saying maybe we need to do a better job of communicating.
And specifically in this particular case, I think we need to make a very clear statement to the voters here that we are not going to spend any money on this for the next 1 or 2 years.
But it will come forward as a warrant article. They'll have the opportunity and the way it's
I understand. Remember, when we sit down and talk about warrant articles, there's a Board of Selectmen's vote as to whether they think that that warrant article is worth funding. And we look to you for that fiscal prudence. Otherwise, we're going to end up with another default budget. And that's not something that any of us want.
Brian?
Okay, so I wanted to just clarify in a few things. One, just so everyone knows, there is a fiscal number on the bottom of every warrant article that tells you how much it is going to impact your tax rate. And if people need to, you can come to me or anybody, Finance Department, Jim Pinio, any select board member, and that will help you understand that. With regards to us voting on it, when I was elected, the first thing I did, one of the very first things, was call the state and say, why can't we get this off of our ballot? And I found out that state requires the select board and the budget committee by state RSA to vote on these warrant articles, which makes it tough. What I try to do is I try to go out to the citizens and ask as many citizens as I can about a project before I determine whether I myself am going to vote yes or no for a warrant article. My toughest one was the public safety building, because I went out and I talked to people and I found out that there was a slight majority of the people that I talked to that said they wanted a public safety building. I also spoke at a budget committee meeting and at a Board of Selectmen meeting, showed 8 towns around us that had spent $10 million on public safety buildings and thought that that should be our number. I recommended that project because I had gotten a feeling from the citizens in town they wanted a new public safety building. I was not happy with the financial piece of it. I thought it was a little bit too high. So sometimes, as a select board member, you're pulled in the middle. And you can't always just take the least expensive way out, because that might not be what the citizens of town are asking for you to do as their representative.
We're asking for two things here. We're asking you to be reactive to the citizenship.
Correct.
We're also asking you to be leaders. We're expecting you to, because you have more of the information than we do, to be able to go out and make those judgment calls so that we have the understanding of your knowledge. If you go out and survey people about a public safety building, you're going to get a number of people who have an opinion, but no knowledge. We're looking to you for the knowledge and the leadership. We're also looking to you for the fiscal responsibility for this town. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Jordy Hutchinson. First off, I'd like to reiterate that I'll be planning to come back in 2 weeks with a planned outline for you. But I just wanted to piggyback on some of the stuff that was said before. I am concerned with the town and its management of this property and others. The report that Jim put together, that's 40-something pages long, details deficiencies going back to 2001, a commitment from the town in 2009 to fix the problems, and then a repeat warning from the fire department that the issues had not been addressed by 2016. And that wouldn't be allowed at a private party's property, and it's unacceptable for the town to do that. To me, it says that the intent was always clear, that regardless of anything else, that there was a desire to tear the building down and not follow through with promises made to the taxpayers. It's just really concerning. We've got issues with the public safety building, as I understand it, issues with the library parking lot. Pop Whalen has not worked out quite the way that it was promised, and I just think that it's time for the town to pump the brakes on any future building or spending. And as was outlined in this document from Jim, Tom Zadi said, by derating the building down to 49, that eliminates the need for the back staircase, so that addresses that concern. And the rest of the issues that are actual safety issues brought up by the fire marshal could be easily addressed for reasonable cost. But anyway, I plan to come back in a few weeks and outline a plan to try to work with you guys to save the building. Thank you.
Hi, Charlene Seibel again. I've gotten some new information tonight. Is it, oh, sorry. Is that better? I'll just try to speak really loudly. So what I'm hearing is that this building has significant historic value to a number of people. I'm just wondering, was demolishing the building ever placed on the warrant, or was this just a decision made by the select board?
Linda?
There was no decision to demolish. There's been no vote to demolish it.
Okay.
There's been no vote to demolish. There's been no public hearing to do that.
Okay, so this is just strictly a public hearing about closing it.
That is correct.
So is it the intent to ultimately demolish the building?
Mine, no. And my intent is not to close the building either.
So the option I'm hearing is that there's a potential $4 million approximately warrant in the future for a new community center. Is that correct?
That's what's in the CIP.
It hasn't come out of CIP.
Okay, but I'm hearing the figure $4 million, and I'm just
And that's a placeholder that's been on the CIP spreadsheet for a number of years.
Potentially a new senior center.
It's a best guess in my
community center.
It's a best guess that something of that range will take place. There is no plans or documents that gives us that figure. That's what the 250 was presented to the CIP would be the mechanism
study.
to get a study that would get construction, which would get a valid price. None of that has taken place, nor has there been a warrant article for 250. That's all maybe coming forward.
Right, I
Okay.
understand that. I guess I'm just wondering if the intent is not to demolish the building, if the intent is to just close it with no plan about what's going to happen to it. Is it just going to sit vacant in perpetuity? Is that, I mean, I'm just trying to be proactive and trying to understand, you know, the big picture.
Okay,
The big picture of the plan, because it seems to me that the fact that it hasn't been maintained is the main issue here. And I would hate to see us, you know, waste 4 million or 4 million plus 250,000 when there's, you know, it seems like it would be a lot less expensive to take care of the existing structure, and that a lot of people in town do not want to see it abandoned. And so I would just really, I think everyone here who cares and has concerns would like to see, I mean, I personally, I'm not presuming to speak for anyone else, but I personally would like to know what the, no pun intended, master plan is for the existing structure. Because if it's just going to be left vacant, that's going to become an eyesore, and that's going to become a magnet for vandalism. And if it's your intent to tear it down, I think the citizens need to know that. Thank you.
Dave?
Go ahead, Linda.
Well, I'm absolutely in support of looking at a way to repair the community center for a period of time. One of the things I did is, why are we down this path towards the electric building? And so I went back through my deliberative sessions presentations and my CIP books. In 2016 was the first time I saw a submittal for a multi-generation community center using the electric building and the removal of the old community center. And just before that, 16, we had spent the $4 million on the town hall, where we had 18.7% of private funds. In 2017, we did the Fossfield Pavilion. In 2018, we did $5 million for the library at 1.3 or 26%. 2019 CIP submittal was for environmental and reuse feasibility study to reuse the electric building. The 2019 master plan, the future use based on public comment, was to demolish the community center. In 2020, and I think we will remember, there were a set of Girl Scouts who had taken it upon themselves and had drawn a plan up for the electric building. They asked for $25,000 for a feasibility study of the electric building. That passed by 68.4%. We then did the Pop Whalen, which got $2.7 million, which was 38% of private money. And then we came to the public safety building at $1.3 million, which we had no private funds. That's where the real spike in our debt service came. In 2023, the town did a hazardous building material assessment with asbestos and potential hazardous material, and as Paul told you, it was split between the electric department and the firehouse. We were trying to figure out what kind of buildings we had. There was a 2024 CIP submittal to draw up plans and construct the community center, but that didn't even come forward out of the CIP because we didn't have a concrete cost for construction. So we have a vote of the people who wanted us to spend 25 for a feasibility study for the electric building. So this was happening as we were looking at the two buildings. So I think we have paid attention. What we didn't pay enough attention to was periodic repairs to keep that building so that it can continue to be used until such time that we got to the electric building, which is the one based on, you know, the vote is the way the public is going. So I feel comfortable, you know, repairing the building if we can make it until such time that the community center comes forward as a votable warrant article. But it isn't going to come this year, from what I can see, unless the board does something in the CIP committee.
Brian?
So the only thing, Linda said 1.3 million for the public safety building. It was 13.1 million. And I think, Jim, what was the final cost of the public safety building?
It was right on the money of 13.1 with some ancillary costs absorbed by the departments.
Okay. And so I think what happened was in 2016, when they started talking about using the MED building for a multi-generational center, the community center kind of got forgotten a little bit, and it shouldn't have been. There's always more than one way to look at a project or a problem and to solve it. We could use the community center, could become our senior center down the road. The MED building could start as a multi-generational center, and there could be two facilities side by side. There's a lot of ways we can do this. Our debt service is not going to really drop off until 2029. Do we really need to spend $4 million till then? Probably not. I don't think that the community center should close its doors until there's a plan in place to renovate it. And I think that we should give any private group, like the one being spearheaded by Jordy Hutchinson and the Quilters, and give them time to look at the building, look at the structure, put together a plan, and seriously consider it before we just close it and it does become a shuttered building. That's just my opinion.
Can I, Mr. Chairman?
Paul?
Mr. Chairman, is there anybody else who wants to come up to the microphone? Please, come on up.
My name's Carol McMahon. I've lived in Wolfeboro for 20 years. And I'm sorry.
There you go, Carol.
Okay?
Yep.
I'm usually pretty loud anyway. So, Carol McMahon, lived in Wolfeboro for 20 years. And I've spoken several times about this. And I was under the impression tonight that we were going to hear about the engineering report that the town had ordered to tell us all of the problems with the community center. Is there mold? Is there asbestos? Is there this? Is there that? What is the problem besides the back door that doesn't have a second exit? I still have not heard anything about all of that was ordered in I don't know what year. That was $17,000 or whatever, or if they've ordered a new one. What is wrong? What are the full details of what is wrong with that building as it stands right now? If it's only the back door, then, I mean, Mr. Hutchinson's plan is to put a side door in. Put the door in now and let us use the building. If there's no mold, no asbestos, I mean, I am a super sensitive person for smell and mold and things. And I've been going there for years. So I don't know. It's just, I haven't heard enough about the extent of the problems. All I heard is that the back door is not accessible. So what are all the problems?
My name is... My name is Troy Glidden. I was born, lived here most of my life. I just moved back from another town. I'm going to remain nameless at this point in time, but so some of us that were born and raised here don't like change. And we've seen a lot of change over the last, I'll say 40, but closer to 50 years. But so we're worried that once these doors shut, for this reason, that they're never going to reopen. And then all of a sudden the building's going to be gone. And that's what we're afraid of. I've been in a lot of basements in Wolfeboro, probably most basements in Wolfeboro. I've seen some dangerous stuff. I walk out of Berkshire Hathaway downtown and there's a hole in the sidewalk this big. So do we shut down all sidewalks and make people walk out on the road? No. Hopefully at some point in time someone's going to take notice, bring it up here, there'll be a warrant article, and then you guys can get down there and fix it. So I hope you make the right decision. I think you have to keep this for these fine young ladies and hopefully our children. But thank you for your time.
Bobby Budman again. I just have some questions based on other people's comments. In 2009, the Primex report, were those recommendations ever realized after that Primex report? I know this kind of isn't public input. It's sort of a public hearing, right? Are you allowed to speak back in a public hearing, or?
We have been. So you're asking us whether, my understanding over time, most of them been there, we repeatedly got occupancy permits, which have to be redone every 5 years.
But without ever realizing the 2009
then
Primex?
if it isn't safe, then we wouldn't have gotten the permit. And I don't remember that report you're talking about.
Okay, and then on 7/1/22, a memo from our town manager stated that there actually was mold, lead, and asbestos in there. Was that just asking if it was in there? Because when I read that memo, it seemed like you were saying it's actually in there. Is that true? Or did I misread this memo?
I believe that the comment was that the building, based on its era, probably contains lead, mold, etc. And we wanted to have the building evaluated to determine what the actual contamination within the building was.
Okay. And I have their avatar card here. The building is from 1960. Is that correct? That's what's on the avatar?
Well, then that's what it is.
Okay. And then I guess my last question is, the one thing I have not seen or heard from is the Heritage Commission. Is the Heritage Commission involved in this, and could the Heritage Commission speak on their behalf? Thank you.
Dave Bolduc, Chair of the Heritage Commission. We have not addressed this issue as a group. We had intended to address it at our September meeting, but that got canceled due to a couple of reasons, so it is on the agenda for our meeting next Wednesday. I'm here to understand the issues, or both sides of the issue, and we'll present what I've learned tonight to the commission, and I suspect we may or may not have a recommendation. Our role is to advise the town, and if we feel we can contribute with a significant advisory position, then we'll do so. But right now, unfortunately, it did not come up on our September meeting because we didn't have it. I apologize for that.
Suzanne Ryan. I'm here as a resident primarily, but I would like to just let people know that I was the vice chairman of the Heritage Commission around 2021. And currently I serve in the CIP and the Budget Committee. I do not speak for the CIP. I do not speak for the Heritage Commission, and I certainly do not speak for the Budget Committee. The Heritage Commission held a charrette in 2021, and we toured the whole of Lerner Street area with some good ideas coming forward. One of the focal points was Lerner Street and trying to make it a walkable area from downtown, to make it another subsection of downtown. The full Heritage Commission, according to the town report of 2021, voted to advocate for preservation and reuse options of all or part of the structures and perhaps of the adjacent old fire station to be a part and parcel of the renovation. They never voted to have it torn down. They also, in their document that they produced that some of you might like to see, which is the charrette design, under fire station, they said, stabilize and renovate old building, possibly connect it to the electric building, to a complete complex. I'm here to advocate for that. And I would say, if you go to the back of your CIP book, there's something in there called Parks and Recreation Community Center. And it talks about $250,000 in 2026. And Linda's correct. I think it was last Monday, we voted to move that out to 2027. But that was for an engineering report for the whole project. It wasn't just talking about the fire station. What it does say in the informational section before it talks about money, it talks about demolishing the firehouse. It's there, folks. Where there's smoke, there's fire. This has been bandied around for quite a while. And if the people didn't show up tonight, you can book it, that they would have kept down that path. Only you people tonight have stopped it to put it. And I would like to say, I wish you were all here and advocated for the Libby when we had $2.2 million in our hand. Thank you.
I'm Sandy Wentworth of the town. I'm one of the few natives that is left. I'm a little older than Troy, a youngster. I want the old fire station to stay for historical reasons, sentimental reasons, and I just don't see the reason to tear it down. Going different ways, we pay money every year for maintenance in our taxes. It's like, where does the money go, and why don't we see things happening? When the town hall, people wanted to get rid of the town hall, we have to have a new building. This place was falling apart, and all of these things were shown that could have been repaired. Why weren't they repaired? The fire station and the police station, that police chief at the time saying we need a new one, this building's falling apart. He had pictures of cement problems and stuff. We need to tear it down, build a new one, or move it. Well, it got repaired and fixed. Why wasn't it fixed at the time? We own the Libby Museum. The Libby Museum has had problems. The Friends of the Libby raised money. They had plans drawn up, architects or whatever, and they checked how to save the back wall. The town said no, they didn't want to spend the money. Why wasn't it fixed before it got so bad? And then the town finally said that, well, we'll check into it. And last I heard, we were having another evaluation done. There was no reason why we couldn't use the first one. The community center, it's a lot of little things. You know, why couldn't someone take in the maintenance and fix the back steps that go down? You know, no maintenance is being done. I asked about that building 10 years ago and was told it belongs to the Parks and Recreation. Well, the Parks and Recreation didn't do anything about it, but they found the money to build the pavilion down at Foss Field before taking care of the property that was in their stead. So who's in charge of all of this? If you've got one person, I would assume you've got like Parks and Recs in charge of some of these. They're not doing the maintenance or making a list. Who watches after them? Maybe Jim Pinio, maybe he's the top one. But the work is, you get several people doing the job, you all have to come in together to one person to do it. But it's like every building we have is falling apart and we get, oh, we have to tear it down. Why don't we do it? We've been talking about the electric department on Laner Street. There's work that could be done there over the last 20 years just to maintain the building and then decide, are we going to sell it or are we going to use it? But no one's doing anything. And that's the most frustrating thing. I'm pleased that the ladies of the Lake Quilters and the senior citizens, they like that. They don't necessarily need a $4 million building. Fixes went up, it costs less money. And I know one of you selectmen have already had in print, you want to tear it down and do something else. It's not your decision, it's all of ours. So, and the one thing David Senecal said, and I actually agree with David this time, he was saying it's the selectmen are not the ones that are making our taxes higher. You know, we went into default, and I think a lot of you selectmen are beginning to understand the taxes are too much for a lot of us little peons. I've seen so many friends move out of town in the last 15 years because they can't afford to live here anymore. Those are the people we want. But David, what did you say? I'm losing my train of thought. Darn, it was a good one, too. What did you say, David?
You think I can remember too?
Oh, David was saying, you know, we put on the warrant these things, but all these warrants. Bobby was right. You selectmen say yes, 5-0, we think you should do this. And it's like the townspeople, all of you taxpayers out there, you didn't want the budget to go up to keep our taxes down, but you voted in all of these other things. The selectmen have no authority over that. It's you taxpayers that are making our taxes go up. Except Bobby's right. You know, why do you vote something 5-0, which is going to make the taxes go up? You really want them to go up? So taxpayers are going to pay attention, and someone, you're as high as we get in the town officials, have got to get someone to maintain our property. You know, I can't remember if it's $400,000, $850,000 a year. The money is not being spent to maintain the buildings. So do something so we don't have to keep going through this and fighting with you every time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul?
Thanks for everybody's, oh, go ahead, Charlie.
Sorry, I promise this will be the last. I promise this will be the last time. I just have a question, and I'm sure that you all can make it happen. Reading in the notice for the public hearing, it says local government authorities have deemed the building unsafe based on health hazards and failure to comply with building and life safe codes. I think maybe that's supposed to be life safety codes. But anyway, I digress. In the interest of transparency, could you tell me where on the website I can find the backup documentation for the decision? I don't know who the local government authorities are. I'm guessing one's maybe Bill Scott, the code dude, no? And Tom Zotti. But I mean, obviously you had to have some kind of research done, some kind of report that amassed all the information for you to be able to say local government authorities have deemed the building unsafe based on blah, blah, blah. So because I'm someone who's very interested in the weeds and the backup documentation and all the, the nitty-gritty details, if that backup documentation that the local government authorities used, if that's not currently on the website, how soon could it be on the website? And I understand you're in flux because you've got a new website and it's kind of wonky. And is that documentation on which they made this assessment currently available on the website? And if it isn't, could you make sure you get it posted in the next, few days? Well, I mean, today would be great, but it's after business hours. But well, I understand. So you're saying that the backup documentation that they received to determine all the unsafe violation life safety code, that documentation is on the website, and I just can't find it?
I will look into it tomorrow and get you a response.
So I don't have all of it, but I know that the New Hampshire Fire Marshal looked, our fire chief looked, and 3 members of the select board as a subcommittee looked at it. There may have been more also.
Okay, so your report on which the report that you received with all of these, boo-boos and ickiness, that's available?
Yeah, and they're also going on tests that have been done on the building over the last several years. But the last set of tests, and I could be wrong, were done on the whole complex, meaning both buildings at the same time were evaluated. And so when you look at that report, you have to look in deeply to make sure that you're attributing what flub is with what building and which are with just the general property.
Okay, so whatever documentation or whatever research or whatever tests that were done, are the 2 buildings are inextricably linked? No. Okay, so you do have it separated out by building.
Correct.
And that is on the website or no?
Jim's going to check and get back to you, but let me try, finish up. Go ahead.
Well, when I read this, I'm thinking, okay, well, that's great. Where's the backup documentation?
Who are these authorities that you talk about, right?
Well, I mean, who are the authorities, and what information were they given to deem the building unsafe based on health hazards and failure to comply? I mean, obviously, I would think that the code guy would be involved. Obviously, I would think Tom Zotti would be involved. But I mean, they don't make decisions in a vacuum. There have to be facts on which they base that, and I would like to see all of that information. And you're going to look into having that on the website. I'm just making
Paul,
sure because
do you wanna-
Nelson
Just
told
let
me
me
25 weeks ago he'd look into a 91A, and I haven't heard squat.
Are you guys kibitzing out there? I'm going to read something, and it may or may not resonate. The habit of focusing excessively on defining, discussing, dwelling on a problem without taking action to solve it. Meetings that focus on diving deeper into the issue without proposing a clear path forward. Voicing the same concerns repeatedly without any attempt to improve the situation. Putting the problem on a list or a backlog so that you can get to it later, knowing and convincing yourself that if you think about it and make a decision in the future, it'll be a better decision. Spending time analyzing issues that are not ones to fix, or finding somebody that you can blame for inaction on their part, but not yours. That's called problem admiration. And I think we can probably sit here ourselves and reflect on what we have seen in the past of some of the things we have done or not done. You pick whatever action. That doesn't mean, and by the way, I'll answer the question that was asked as who's in charge. I believe that we are in charge. It's our responsibility. Having said all of that, I've gone back and looked through the documents, and Charlene, you're entitled and you're owed those things. We should provide them to you. I could take the memo that Tom Zotti wrote back in 2009 as a deputy, and I could just simply, white out the date. Remember the whiteout stuff? I just white out the date and put the new date on it. Be exactly the same memo. I have a chronology that the town manager put together, and we should get that out to you because we've talked about it in episodic fashion this evening about the Primex plan and the recommendations that were put forward. I have, the hazardous thing, because if some of you remember me, I was the one that made the motion to close the Libby. And I'm not proud of it, but I did it because it stunk of mold. It was bad. And some people don't think there was mold there. We spent more money cleaning the mold than we did doing anything else at the Libby. I believe we have a case of this facility, this center, didn't make the priority list. And are we bad people for that? You get to decide. But it didn't make the priority list. We had other things to do. And we can spend a bunch of time trying to figure out why it didn't make the priority list and point fingers and do all that kind of crazy shit. I personally believe the building is in deep trouble. From the stuff that I've read, from the visits I've taken, from the observations of the fire marshal, the fire chief, an environmental, Damaris, who does environmental studies. I've seen the same recommendations over and over again for 14 years as to what needs to be done. I think you asked the question, what the hell's wrong? Is it just the back door? No, it's not. It's more than just the back door. It's a whole bunch of stuff that was put down on a piece of paper many times by many different engineering firms. So, Bergeron being the engineering firm, I look at this and I say, I think the building is in deep stuff. I look at the fact that we spent $3,500 back in 2012 to get mold out of the building. I look at the fact that we had 3 town managers, Owen, Becky, and Jim, telling us in their own words that we had a little bit of an issue. I looked at an estimate that Becky gave us back in 2018. I was on the board, so my responsibility. It said, this thing's got problems. Hello? And here's what you need to do to fix them. And we didn't do it. Whatever the right word is, we didn't do it. Okay? We can argue about the nomenclature. The fact is, it didn't get done. Okay, now what would you like to do? If you could. So I think there's three possible outcomes here. Outcome number one is we have, I think, an investor group that wants to come and tell us that they want to save the building. That would be great. And I believe Linda Murray, last 2 weeks, wrote down for us the outline of what we need. So that's a challenge. I think option number two is that this committee of 3 select board members needs to rethink what they've heard tonight and decide whether we should scale down, rethink, do something differently with our plan to go out and do a larger scoped study. And I think the voter is going to have to decide whether they approve that or not. Option number 3, you want to talk now? I'll just shut up. Go ahead. No, please. Option number 3 is we continue to admire the problem and call each other names. And please call me all the names you want to, because I'm responsible, and I'm not being pejorative. I'm being serious. But when it's all said and done, the question on the table for me is: does that building meet the standard of I would put my grandkids in there? No. I would not put my grandchildren in that building. Not based upon what I've seen. So I'm sorry if that's not comforting to you, but no. Now, I answered that question, but I'm also reminded that we should bend over more than backwards to find an opportunity to put the people who have been in that building, and potentially not in the best of spaces, into new places. And I believe the library is set up. By the way, there was an offer made by somebody to consider putting something downtown. Why not? I've heard from many people that the reason we don't like to go out to Abenaki, or we don't like to go down to the down to the library, is the walkability. Okay, so why not? Let's make some arrangements. But when it comes down to a decision for me as to whether I should or should not recommend to you whether more people should be in that building waiting until something else gets done, I say no, I don't think that's a good idea. That's where I come out on it.
Brian?
So Paul was talking about problems and thinking about problems. I like to solve problems. When something comes to me, I try and get something accomplished. I don't just point a problem to somebody and say, now fix it. I point a problem to somebody and I say, this is a suggestion. Let's see what we can do. I do believe that, yes, we kind of are experts. We have some information that the general public doesn't have. I also have a phone number, a cell phone number, and an email address, and I will answer and talk to anybody anytime about anything, and if I don't have the answer, I will find the answer. The Libby had more mold in the parking lot than it did in the building. At a meeting, I said, if we close this building now, because they said they were going to close it for 2 weeks to do mold remediation, I said, if we close it now, it will never open again. That was 1.5 years ago. That's where we are now. This building, I have not seen a mold test that shows definitively that there's mold in this building. I asked some of my colleagues for a copy of that test 2 or 3 meetings ago, and it hasn't been delivered to me. It has good bones. It's a fixable building. It needs to be closed when it's getting fixed. And that, I'm hoping, is sooner rather than later that the private group that's coming forward can get some estimates and something in place sooner rather than later. That's my take on it. And I believe in the work. We spent $6,000 for the charrette, and their suggestion, one of them was fix the little building, then fix the big building, then connect them and have a complex there. that's multi-generational, for seniors, for younger people, for everyone. The train station building, I'm not sure about the size of it, and if it would work for a senior center, it might work for a senior center. I'm open to sitting with anybody and talking about that prospect also. We got to use our community brains to figure these things out. It's not 5 people, it's 6,700 people. And we can do this. We just have to dig our feet in and get something done.
Go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, my one comment I'd like to make now, we talked about it at our last Board of Selectmen's meeting, but we did not have it as a public hearing to hear the comments. That's why I wanted it on the meeting tonight, is because we do want to hear from you about how you'd like to move forward. So the board stopped, took time to come back and to listen. So I think we do care about the input from our citizens.
I'm sorry to be a spring bottom, but I want to say thank you for listening to us and caring. And just to show you the Ladies of the Lake serious commitment to this, we don't have a lot of money, but we have committed the whole membership of our Ladies of the Lake, some who don't use the community center at all, have committed $10,000 towards the renovation of this community center. And Gordy, Hutchinson has offered to match that. So now we have $20,000. We should be spending our money on batting and material. But this meets our mission because this is where we do our work every single week. And we're begging you, do not close the community center until we have a plan, and Gordy's going to come back to you with a plan. And it's our home. You're taking our home away from us. Please do not do that. Do not do that to all the children in David's house who receive our quilts. Do not do that to the Child Advocacy Center and all the children that receive our quilts. Do not do that to the comfort quilts like the one that was given to Pat Waterman when her husband passed away. We do good in this community. Let us continue to do our good. Please, we beg you, do not close the community center. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else? Okay, thank you for your time. We certainly are going to take this into consideration. I don't think we'll probably do anything tonight. I think we'll probably wait another couple of weeks till we hear back again from some of the stakeholders. Okay? All right, let's move along on our agenda then. Yes. What's that?
Address the board regarding our vote earlier, if it's not too late. We made a mistake on the dollar amount.
Okay.
The original request was for up to $60,000, which is the way Amy had written it, but I think we all were focused on the phase 1 cost and approved $34,605, and I'm hoping that you would readdress that vote and approve up to $60,000.
Okay.
I'm not willing because I don't have anything that tells me what you're going to do over the 34,000.
Okay.
We just have to do it in another meeting.
So I have a question.
That's all.
When would you need the difference between the 34, or when would you be coming to us with the difference between the 34 and the 60?
That would be a function of the timing when we got our engineering report back as to what the specifics were for the actual motor and controller.
Okay.
And
After the
cost
first of the year, you think?
No, hopefully well before that.
No.
Okay.
So that was the reason that Amy wrote it that way, so we wouldn't have to come back, but I understand.
Yeah, I need something concrete.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we have bulk vote, weekly manifests.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to remove the annual exempt property A-9 and A-12 for 2 reasons. First, I was missing 1 page of all the backup information, and I never was sent that. And 2, this is the tax exempt property, and I would like it as an item on the agenda. I think there is interest in the community on why we're doing it. Some of them, we are not exempting the whole property. Some we're exempting none of it, and some we're doing all of it. And I think we owe it to the public to hear what percentage. So I would like to make that motion to remove C from the bulk vote.
Second.
Agree.
Is there a second to that?
Hold on.
Brian second.
Hold on.
So it's to approve the bulk vote A and B, not C, Linda?
I'm asking, the first vote is to remove C.
First vote is to remove
C.
C.
Table it all
Okay.
until there's more information as to the percentages.
Okay, we have a second.
I second
You
it.
second it.
Okay.
So I don't know if the public understands the motion. So you have all these entities that are asking for tax exemptions.
Yes, and I'm asking not to vote as a bulk, to put it on the next agenda as a discussion item so we can go over them and what portions we're exempting or not exempting. That's what I'd like to do, so the public does know what we're doing. I found, I mean, in the past, we have done that. How do they know whether we're giving them total exemption, not exempting them all? One of the pages I was missing was some of the ones we weren't going to exempt, and I don't know why.
I just wanted to clarify that for the public.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so now we got A, B,
And D.
D.
A, B, and D.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bulk vote A, B, and D.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Dave,
right.
with regards to the nonprofits coming for their tax exemptions, I would like to know if the board would entertain having Brewster Academy's cards looked at to make sure that we are following the Supreme Court decision in 1997 that dictates exactly how those should be exempted. Because it's a big project, it's a lot of money. I think their main complex is $34 million in exemptions alone. So I want to make sure that we are doing it right and following the ruling of the Supreme Court in 1997.
So are you asking that we go through that, or are you asking to have Todd or whomever?
I would like Todd to send us a letter saying that
I'm okay with that.
that he used the methodology pursuant to that 1997 Supreme Court case in
done that in the
in
past.
determining abatements for Brewster Academy.
Second.
He should have that because he's done it in the past.
Yeah.
That's a second on your motion.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Shall we vote?
Gonna move, oh,
Yeah.
okay. All those in favor of that?
Aye.
All right, we'll move to new business. Health insurance update.
So I've been in correspondence with the board regarding School Care, who is our health insurance provider to town employees. Early last week, we were advised that the health insurance provider is struggling with their finances, and they are currently $30 million in the hole. They are looking to be able to fund their operations going forward. And as a result, they are asking all members for a 12% prorated assessment of our health insurance plan. We received the invoice for that today. That invoice totals $377,400. $448.52. Monies which we do not have budgeted. Monies which in a default budget are going to be very challenging to be able to find in our existing budget. To put this into context, our health insurance payment over the course of the year is $2.6 million. And we will know in November, mid-November, as to what our assessment for 2026 will be when we program the budget. As a result, I am requesting the board consider authorizing me to initiate proceedings under RSA 3211, which is emergency expenditure and over expenditure. I have taken and instituted a spending freeze with department heads at this time. I've asked them to please try to contain their overtime as much as possible. My fear is we have some form of a catastrophic incident, storms, etc., between now and the end of the year. We aren't going to have the money to be able to say that we land the budget. We did this a couple years back when our fund balance and our warrant article funding was in trouble. Next week, on the 15th, the audit report will be delivered to you. The draft audit report does indicate that we have a healthy fund balance, which you'll see when that report is delivered to you next week. I think this is the responsible thing to do to keep our town operating as current as we possibly can without having impacts to operations. Again, I'm hopeful that with the spending freeze, the ask of department heads to please control their overtime, that we'll be able to make up some of it. And if Mother Nature cooperates with us, maybe we'll be able to make up all of it. But I feel that I need to ask the board to authorize me to initiate this proceeding in the event that we have some unforeseen circumstances, such as the one we just received today to the tune of $377,000.
Brian?
So about a month ago, I heard of this coming down the pike, and it's a little bit problematic because I'm not really sure if legally school care can ask us to pay for an assessment in the middle of the year to increase the cost of our contract by 12%. I'm going to ask Jim to do a little bit of research and have our town council look into this, reach out to other communities and even school departments, because we all use, or a lot of school departments and communities use school care. And I wanted people to know too that this is not a singular hit. Between our school and our town, the total cost of our school care tax increase could end up being somewhere more in the $1 million range, which is going to be difficult for the town and the school department to absorb. So I would think that we should make sure that what the ramifications are if we don't give the 12% increase. Does school care legally have the ability to do this? Does it affect our potential for getting insurance through the risk pool next year? Or could we have other avenues of health care through, I think the other one's called Health Trust, and or there are communities that are privately insured, or that take it out to brokers and look for insurance programs other places. I know that in New Hampshire, there aren't a lot of organizations that offer health care to municipalities. So I know that it will be a challenge. But I think we should look at this very carefully and closely and make sure we make an informed decision.
Paul?
Thank you for that, Brian. A couple of questions I had when this came about. I reached out to Representative McDonald, and I asked him to get in touch with the insurance commissioner of the state of New Hampshire. My question for him to get an answer from Mr. Betancourt, just boiling it right down, is there a systemic risk issue here for insurance for our people in the state? Period. Hard stop. End of message. That's a tough question to ask the insurance commissioner, but what the heck? This is 14.5% up on what we're doing right now. So that's an ugly number. I want to make sure, though, Jim, because I was a little confused. You did institute properly. You've instituted a frost or freeze on spending. But maybe I don't understand. This is going to be paid for out of the unrestricted fund balance?
No. So my goal is to receive authorization from the Board of Selectmen under RSA 3211 to be able to ask for funds to be available for an over expenditure in the amount of $377,448.52.
So boiling that all away, that could be take the money from the unrestricted fund balance.
Correct.
Okay. And I just want to make sure that folks understand that. That is going to our balance sheet. It's not going to day-to-day operations of the town unless Jim decides to do something differently. We had a lot of conversation last year about the quality of having an unrestricted fund balance, and I think you will see in the audit that we have a healthy balance sheet. The bad news is it's a hit. The next question I asked Jim, and I don't know if we have an answer yet, and I think Brian has alluded to it, is are we going to get a bill from, prospectively, Kingswood, the Governor Wentworth School District? We pay, I think, Linda, you know the better number. What's the percentage?
35.
Not to be too precise, we pay 35% of that. So just for ha-has, if they have $1 million assessment, that's $350,000. Add that to 377. That then becomes what I would consider to be a substantial hit to the town's balance sheet. Ergo, my question to Representative McDonald, to ask the insurance commissioner, is this a one and done, or are we going to see this again? So that's the way I'm looking at it. The legality of all of that, that's between other people. I just want to understand whether we are going to be dealing with this thing in a bigger sense. Just to punctuate my concern, this day, 2 private carriers of insurance in the state of New Hampshire announced that they are no longer writing insurance. They're out. Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I forget the other one. But they're out. So no more Medicare Part D from those 2 carriers. Well, you may have a grand person clause in there, a sunsetting clause. But they announced they're out. So I don't know whether this is just school care or whether we have a bigger issue, but for me, I want to understand from the people that pray over this stuff whether we have it. And I respect Jim for what he did. I just want to make sure that, and I'll vote favorably to authorize you to do that. I think, thank God we have a strong balance sheet to handle this. Thank you.
Linda?
Yeah, I have some other questions, and as I recall reading that we are to make the payment on demand. and I'm not interested in paying on demand. We have a process that we have to go through. Until we get authorization, I don't want to pay a cent to overspend the bottom line. And I also hear, well, maybe I could get it out of the budget. I do not believe we should take this out of the budget. I think we should get permission to overspend the bottom line, take it out of the unassigned fund balance, which is why we haven't, but I'm not willing to pay a penny. And Paul, I didn't even think about the school district coming after.
you did.
No, I
you
didn't.
did.
Good thought.
God
I
dang it,
mean,
you did.
and thank you for calling John McDonald, whom we may need to call our representatives on this. This is a huge hit out of nowheres. No way we could plan for it. And if it's this big of a hit this year, you bet your boots we're getting a big one when they get the rates for next year.
Dave, could I? Well, go ahead, Brian, please.
So, yeah, it is 12% this year. And from what my understanding is, between the school district and Wolfeboro, it could be around $927,000. But there's a question whether or not the school district would be able to. I talked to a couple of attorneys about this, and there's a question of whether or not the school district could come to Wolfeboro for assistance. That's in flux too. That's something else that we have to look at.
I agree.
And see if it's legal.
Sure.
Agreed. I agree.
The answer is we just don't know what we don't know.
No, that's
which is, I think,
correct.
what you're teeing up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if I could, Dave, I agree with Linda. Taking, and just advice to you, Jim, I think going around, and I'm going to use a very indelicate term, rattling the cushions of the couch and saying to the town departments, you have to pony up this money, especially where we are
In the year.
in the year, at the run rate we're at. I wouldn't do that. I would not recommend you do that, and I don't think I heard you say that. I'm with Linda. We go to the balance sheet. We just go down to the bottom right-hand corner of the balance sheet, and we do it. Now, to Linda's point about do we have to pay on demand? Sorry.
Yes. Sorry.
That's where we can be bureaucrats and say that's not our process.
Yeah.
You know?
They're also saying that there's a potential for interest on top if we don't pay. But there is nothing in our contract that I've seen that says that they can increase our assessment and that we have to pay interest on a payment that goes above and beyond what our contractual duty is.
Am I hearing that all of us would like to have our town attorney take a look at our health insurance contract and give us?
Yeah, and I would like him
opinion?
to consult with other, I think this is a big enough thing that if he feels it's necessary to contact other attorneys in other municipalities that are in the same boat as us, because,
You think we need to tell them that?
I don't know.
I don't think
Probably
so.
already know.
Yeah, he probably is already calling. I bet you there's
I hope
a
he
lot.
is.
I bet you there are a lot of them.
I'm not sure we need
But I
to,
think-
prescribe.
Think
No,
that-
I just sometimes dot I's and cross T's just because sometimes people.
That's who you are.
People sometimes don't think of everything.
I think that what people need to realize as well is this is for 1 year, but 6 months is in 1 year and 6 months is in the other year,
Yep.
the following year.
Yeah.
So it's not, this doesn't end on the 1st of January. It starts again for 6 months.
But we have the rate for the next 6
Right,
months.
but I'm just saying, it's not, it's for 1 year.
Our
but
rates
it's
are
not-
set July 1.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever they set that rate, July 1, they're short at
Yep.
this period of time, 377,000 plus
Right.
from the town of
That's for 6
Wolfeboro.
months.
From the town of Wolf.
12%
That's for the
for
first
this.
6 months.
Yeah. 12% for this year, and supposedly our new contract, when it comes up, they're going to be asking for 16% more.
You
is
know
what
that
I've heard.
number?
That's what I've heard.
You've heard that? Who'd you hear it from? Can't tell.
Yeah.
Secrets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam, do you have, let's hear from the expert.
Sam. the person that has the drawer.
Myself and Michelle attended the virtual town hall that School Care put on last Thursday. And they did confirm they're looking at an average increase on rates of 16%.
There you go.
Across the board.
Brilliant.
And the interest that they would be charging wouldn't be until after January 1st. Right. And it would be at 0.5% of whatever amount is still outstanding.
Of the unpaid balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty
I think
typical.
there's enough time to
Thank you, Sam.
go through the
Okay.
process.
What do you need, what do we need to do here? Motion to approve your request, Jim?
I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager on behalf of the Board of Selectmen to initiate an emergency expenditure and over-expenditure under RSA 32:11 as a result of the unanticipated school care assessment.
Second.
And the reason I added on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I want the public to know it's our responsibility, and he's
Correct.
just going to help us put it together.
Correct. Second again.
Can we add it, could you add it to that with assistance of town council?
Sure.
Thank you.
Second
Okay.
and third time.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we get to the important things. Public hearing schedule, update, and food sign-up.
So tomorrow evening, you're scheduled to go through the general government budgets. Those are all pretty benign. There has been a little bit of an adjustment made, specifically when you go down to the 29th. We are hopeful to have all of the budgets done on the 27th. And then on the 29th, we'll start off by allowing the public to give you, the Board of Selectmen, input related to the 2026 proposed budget before you vote to pass it along to the Budget Committee. So that's a change that we're going to do this year to try and get some input from the citizens about the budget that you will be handing over to the Board of Selectmen, or excuse me, to the Budget Committee. That summarizes it, and I believe the last thing is we traditionally have meals at 5:30 or so that people sign up for, and I don't think we've done that yet.
I have a concern this meeting tomorrow night to go over these budgets. I've got a bunch of committee meetings and stuff. I'm not going to be able to go over and review these budgets between this meeting tonight and 6 o'clock tomorrow. You know, and I think we should be able to have the time, and I would like to propose that we take this budget and move it to October 9th, which is a Thursday. It would mean, this week we would have had 2 meetings, it would mean that week would be 2 meetings.
Second.
Linda, I can't be there on the 9th.
What?
I can't be there on the 9th.
Good, we might get something done.
I'm sorry.
The only other problem
smiling at something? Do you
with
need to
Tuesday, the budget, the
is that what he said?
planning board is here, so I didn't pick that. You know, I think it's, how can we, I mean, here sits my budget book. I haven't even had a
Yeah.
chance to look at it, you know,
Well,
and
I think tomorrow night's too early anyway.
It's only 9 o'clock, Linda.
Right. Thanks, Brian.
I just can't be there on the 9th.
What day can you of that week?
Let's see.
We're going to be here on the 7th at 3 o'clock to work on Jim's goal. We could do it earlier in the day on the 7th, or do it right and move that to another day. We can't do it at night because because the planning board is here
At least on Tuesday night.
on Tuesday night. I have a conflict on Monday night, We already have scheduled on Wednesday night.
You want to do like Jim's goals, we're going to do it like 3 to 4, right?
Yeah, or we could start it earlier.
We could start it earlier.
And then just run our budget hearing after that and
we have
be
a
out of
planning
here
board
by
meeting
the
that night.
planning board
Yep.
at 7.
I could do that.
Well, are we going to have the room downstairs for the evaluation stuff? Or,
I guess.
I mean, we could stay right there. It wouldn't matter what time we get
Well, I'm
done.
going to bring the pizza so we can get through the meeting.
Why don't we continue on 3 to 4, 4 to 5
On the
On the
7th.
on the 7th?
You have a problem with
3
that?
to 4.
Okay, so we're good.
4 to 5.
So we're not visiting each other tomorrow night?
That's what I'm
And no
suggesting.
pizza from Linda tomorrow night?
Well, I'll bring something for the 7th that we can.
Well, we can always order pizza and go get it, so.
Okay, very good. So the 7th it is.
I will bring on the 7th pizza for you guys.
And then the 8th, which is another budget meeting, we're going to keep that. So we'll keep the schedule after that.
Yeah, it's just because we haven't had any time today to even look at this stuff.
And I'm signed up for food. I self-signed up for food that night.
On the
So
9th?
I'll do
Okay.
groceries on the 8th.
Okay,
So what did you decide now, the 9th?
The 8th.
that's
Eight.
good.
The 8th.
What time is the 8th?
What time?
Standard time, 6 o'clock.
6? And then we'll stick to the schedule after that?
That is the schedule, right?
That is the schedule.
That is the
Yes,
schedule. Wednesday,
that
the
is.
8th is the next. So the 7th, the 8th, the 14th, the 20th, the 22nd, 27th. And you said, Jim, we may be done by the 27th?
We'll be done on the 27th, and then the 29th is public input, any revisits, and either vote or schedule to vote to
Okay,
pass on.
good. Well, I had one earlier. No,
Does anybody want to sign up for any of the meals on those nights?
I'm doing meals on the 7th.
I don't know.
Or the 8th, whatever it is. 8th.
8th, I'm doing the 7th.
Bologna sandwiches. Is that what it says? Oh, no, it says lasagna. Okay, I got it.
I don't have that whole schedule. Just let me look at it.
We're waiting for Mr. Duchesne's gourmet food
I'll
selection.
do the 27th.
Jim's doing the 27th?
I can do the 14th.
What do you bring?
I'll do the, who's doing the 14th?
I'll do the 14th.
Brian,
Okay, then I'll do the, how about if I do the 20th?
you do the 20th.
Okay.
Dave?
And who's got the 27th? Jim?
I've got the 27th.
What's left?
There's the 22nd and the
22nd
29th.
and the 29th.
Oh, the 20th, I may not be here. Well, I'll be here, the Conservation Commission meetings.
22nd.
22nd and 29th.
That's the joint meeting between.
Yeah, that's joint, so
Okay, so it would be the, I don't know what you want to do with
The
it.
agencies and welfare on the 22nd.
That's pretty quick. So maybe the 29th, John could do.
We signing John Thurston up for the 29th?
I just suggested it. I'm not signing him up.
Last is always the best.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, good.
So 22nd, no dinner.
That's correct.
Correct.
No meal. No, that's for the budget committee. We don't want to feed them.
Hey, can we get the budget committee to bring dinner for us? I'll ask John McDonald.
They ain't
They
got no-
take it out of their
They didn't
budget?
have a stinking budget.
I'll ask John McDonald. He might be able to bring us something. Oh, Bobby's right there. Will you bring dinner?
There you go. Aha, we got one here.
Will you bring dinner? All right,
Okay, Bobby signed up.
22nd, Bobby, dinner.
Did you pick a date?
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Bobby.
Just got signed. Appreciate you being here.
All right, anything else on the meals then? Budget,
Chicken.
old business?
Where are we?
Okay, Any other business?
I have other business, any other business. I attended the Fall Festival this Saturday, and a store owner came up to Brian and I and talked to us about the fact that the business owners are parking in the downtown again, and that was affecting their business. And I looked at the seasonal parking dates, and it's from June 15th to September 15th. And I would like the Board of Selectmen to discuss whether to change the seasonal parking dates from May 30th to October 15th. There seems to be a lot of people now in town on either end of those dates, so.
So that would give us another 45 days of
Parking,
parking,
yes.
2-hour parking restrictions.
Yeah, yeah. And they were saying they felt it, and you do. You see that the downtown's just as full, and we have a lot of people in town. Just an idea. We were going to look at parking, but that's one I'd like to look at.
Okay. Anything else? All right, town manager's report.
A few things. School care, you got that information, which was an agenda item. The audit report, Tim Green will be here on 10/15 to deliver you the audit report. We should have the printed copies in advance. CIP draft is completed. It's in draft form out to the committee members now. I believe it'll be the first week in November. You'll be seeing the CIP report delivered to you. The budget, the books are complete with the exception of one budget, which is Pop Whalen. So books are there for you, completed. Web page, it is updated. I know that there are some glitches with it. I think one of the glitches that is happening, if people have it bookmarked in their device as an address and they go to it, it seems like it does not recognize it and allow for you to go in. We're still working through it, but it is much more friendly on handheld devices, and it will get better. And the last item, couple meetings ago, there was a discussion, about school zones. Steve Randall has actually secured a significant amount of information from New Hampshire DOT, and he'll be here on October the 15th at your regular meeting to speak to school zones in the South Main Street area. And that's all that I have for you.
Any questions of Jim? Committee reports. Let's start with Brian.
Okay, so I attended one EDC meeting, and a second EDC meeting I had to miss because of a health concern with my father. I attended a CIP, which was the look at the draft for the CIP, and the final changes are coming forward. I met with a group of individuals about Coffee and Connections, which is a Parks and Rec program, and we toured the Pop Whalen and the library looking for space because because of the community center closing. I had a meeting with the Lady of the Lakes Quilters because they wanted to ask me some questions about the community center, its history, so on and so on. I attended the electric committee's electric vehicle car show, which was well attended. It was at the Fall Festival, and the Fall Festival was well attended. And I should have made this mention under other business, but I'll make it now. I want to make sure that it's understood, because I was asked to attend a meeting at the town hall by some individuals here tonight. And the meeting, I was told, was for a confidential subject. So when I asked what the subject was, I received no response. So I wanted to just let everyone understand that when I have a meeting with a citizen in town, I ask them for the subject matter and they tell me what it's for. When I have a meeting with anybody in town for any reason, I'm hoping that I can have the subject matter in advance so I know what the meeting is about, or I will opt out to not attend.
Paul?
Thanks, Dave. Planning Board attended. John Thurston and I visit with Bill Scott, our new town planner, every Tuesday for, just kind of a skull session. What's he learning? And if you haven't met Mr. Scott, I'd get on his diary. He's a very smart person, really smart. A lot of domain knowledge, but he's trying to figure out what's going on in our town, walking around through the ordinance maze. He made some very insightful comments, and I'm not going to steal his thunder, but he made an observation about legal expenses.
Don't get me started.
Student body right. And he said, he said, legal expenses are up there because we got some confusing stuff we're working on. So, smart person. We need to support him, and I think he's doing a great job. We participated in Jim's appraisal session. It was good. It was good. That's about all I can say. It was good. Very good. And I thought we had a good conversation, not a monologue, which was even better than good. I joined, not because we planned it this way, but this past Friday night, what a great weekend. I went to the topping off ceremony at the Nick, a $13 million privately funded project, 98% funded by the public, another $275,000 to go. And this, we were talking tonight about things for a community center. This facility is going to have basketball, pickleball, tennis, volleyball, lacrosse, soccer, field hockey, many other sports and events. People were actually happy. They were signing the beam. There was stuff going on. I thought that was pretty amazing. I loved it. I just loved it. Hopeful. The fall festival was pretty darn good. Hats off to Parks and Rec. Great job. And Wolfeboro Community TV was there trying to convince us that they need our support, and we do owe them some support. So that was a good thing to do. And then other things in the town which are unrelated to my personal business, but went up to the top of the hill and did a hayride, fed the cows, went over to Tuftonboro, went to a flower festival by our Branch and Bloom people. And again, every so often when we think that we got our heads screwed on incorrectly, just look around and see what the private sector is doing, and it really is good. So thank you for giving me a chance to speak about it.
Linda?
Okay, I attended 2 CIP committee meetings this Monday. Some of the projects were voted to be recommended on the 2026 CIP. They are a new ambulance, replacement of a public works truck, town road upgrades, and the Libby parking lot. From the capital reserve count is new radios for the fire rescue, municipal electric, the Orchard Road pole installation, the water department to continue work on the water plant. There is still the small pump station project and the multi-funded projects to be voted on by the CIP at its next meeting after further information is received. So that committee is moving right along. It worked out very well. I think they've changed the process and the voting, and I think it has allowed them to take a look at the project and spread them out over the number of years. I attended a special EDC meeting to discuss whether to rescind last month's motion to spend $4,000 to have community TV videotape presentations on the budget from the EDC advertising budget. There was a lengthy discussion, but there was not a quorum of members who did not have a conflict of interest, so it will be voted on at the next EDC meeting in October. I attended with these other two members and Dave and John, the Lakes Region Planning Commission reviewing of the zoning ordinance made by the state of New Hampshire in 2025, which rescinds the ability of the town to control its zoning ordinance. We also learned the state did not have all the funds for all the projects on the 10-year plan. The select board members should attend the regional meetings on the 10-year plan to express the town's position that it needs the Route 28 project. I was able to attend only the breakfast portion of the annual Employees Appreciation. I enjoyed gathering with staff and having informal conversations. I also attended the non-public session with the board to go over the town manager evaluation. I chaired the Wolfeboro Water's October meeting of the 22nd. Town planner Bill Scott attended the meeting to provide Wolfeboro Waters with an outline of how he plans to handle new applications that will be available online. The committee conducted another review of its septic rules and formed a group to meet and finalize the edits. The Wolfeboro Waters talked about impervious and pervious surfaces. The town planner pointed out developers are proposing permeable pavement without a maintenance plan. The town requires maintenance plans, but there is no process in place to validate that these plans are being followed. Ensuring that pervious paved designs are being maintained needs to be addressed by the town. The committee established a group to meet with Steve Randall to review the Crescent Lake Dam water release and determine the best way to continue to maintain water level in Smith River while allowing sufficient water to flow, sufficient water to stay in Lake Wentworth and Crescent Lake. And I think there was some confusion about the two items that were on the agenda and removed, and that was and I have a letter, and it was only the approval recommendation of Wolfeboro Waters on those roads. It was not anything other, so I'm handing this letter out now to the board. And it reads, and this is from Wolfeboro Waters, who's only looking at these roads in relationship to water quality. We understand the town has the option to convert Trash Mountain Road and Beach Pond Road from dirt to pavement. Wolfeboro Waters fully supports doing so. The negative impact of dirt roads on waterways is significant. The sediment that builds up on these roads contain harmful chemicals and nutrients that can then be carried away into our lakes and streams. We believe it is equally important for the town to mitigate runoff wherever possible. Eliminating dirt road is of those opportunities. We ask that in the best interest of the community, the select board also act in favor of converting Tass Mountain and Beach Pond roads from dirt to pavement. Thank you for your time and consideration. Neither one of these roads are part of the 2025 road funding. My understanding, these are two that he is going to propose for 2026. It will have all the opportunity for public input when those warrant articles are talked about. So I want to make sure people aren't confused by it being taken off the agenda and exactly what was being requested. And I have a second.
Can I ask a question just for the town manager? Are these on the road service management plan? So if we look at the road service management plan, we'll see that these things were due to get done? Or did these jump over something?
I would have to look.
No, I know. I'm not asking you to give me an answer now. I just want to make sure that we can draw a straight line between what we say was in our plan and we're actually doing. And if we're jumping over things, that's, due for an explanation. But if we're not, that's fine.
So I have a question for Linda. Are there sections of these or either of these roads, are they considered scenic rural roads?
That was not what Wolfeboro Waters did. It only dealt with their recommendation that dirt roads cause more runoff and pollution into the lakes. Talks nothing about scenic roads, has nothing about whether it will be part of the 2026 warrant article. It's just addressing water quality, and that's what I want people to understand. That's what it's about.
That makes it.
It'll
Before a
be
shovel
one of
goes in
the
the ground,
things
somebody's
that
gonna go
we
to the
talk about when it comes up. It is a recommendation. Wolfeboro Waters is under the Board of Selectmen, and so we feel it is our obligation to give you the letter on our position. And the next one relates to Jockey Cove. After reviewing and discussing the CEI design for the Forest Road Jockey Cove Drainage Improvement Project, the Wolfeboro Waters Committee agreed that the design will not address the problem. The new drainage culvert should be closer to the road to address more of the water issues in the areas. This will allow for greater access to the culvert. And it's just a simple statement about that.
Well, I think
and
we
again,
all had agreed the design was not what we expected.
well, it was that what I think the part here is important. Wolfeboro Waters made that thing but we did talk about where that drainage pipe should be.
Yep.
And that is the comment we're making is we think it should be closer to the road.
And I think, at least my perspective on it was that what we got showed it in the location that it is today, and it should be closer to the road and off the Kane property.
So to that point, so I met with Steve Randall to discuss the logistics of getting that closer to the road, and that was relayed to the Waters Committee. And when the Waters Committee realized that the culvert just goes across the middle of the property and the benefit for the landowner to be able to get that culvert out of their property so that they can have a functioning culvert, because the culvert's now collapsed and clogged. So we actually would have a working system. The plan that CCI designed was basically Steve Randall saying, I'm going to replace the culvert in kind, and they billed us $10,000, and so that was the determination that they didn't give us a very good design for the money. And I talked with Jim one afternoon in the office, and he said we have a certain amount of money for engineering left in the line item, and we're still seeking out an engineer to redesign that.
Question for the town manager, please. Jim, this culvert's going to get redesigned. Is this culvert going to have a stamp plan on it? So that, 30 years from now, we can know that this culvert was put in place by somebody that had a stamp? And we don't get into a...
Yep.
Because I think we don't want to get into a...
Okay.
I just checked with Steve, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Could we trust CCI to give us another design closer to the street for the...
No.
I would recommend that we work with Stantec.
I think I'm with you, John, after this is...
I'm just trying to say,
we've had two of them now.
If they didn't do it right and we paid for it and we can't get our money back.
You don't think you can do it right the second time?
Yeah. I would just clarify, it's CEI.
It's not CCI.
Not CCI, CEI.
Thank you. Yeah, whatever the choice of supplier engineering firm is, I think that's Jim and our highway folk. I just want to make sure that we have an as-built and we have a design and they both are the same thing. That's all.
Linda?
Yeah, I would like these letters attached to the minutes, but I also would like them placed on the town website under Wolfeboro Waters. And then, as they stated, I met with 2 women from the Quilters organization to answer their questions about the CIP process and the history behind choosing the electric building as a possible new community center. And I was also at the Nick celebration, and it was a great celebration. It was wonderful. That's all I have.
Okay, I spent a day at the annual the state health officer meeting. We all spent some time on Jim's valuation. We also spent time, as mentioned, in Tuftonboro Lakes Region Conservation Commission annual meeting. We had a community center meeting. I went to a Friends of Abenaki meeting, an employee day. I didn't make it to breakfast, but I did for lunch. It was very good.
I took care of breakfast.
Yeah. John?
So I attended the planning department meeting with Bill Scott and Paul the other day. I think Bill has an elevated mind way above what our planning department has had over the last 4 planners. So we're in for some real thought and real review of our ordinances, because some of them are redundant in certain areas and are non-conforming structures, the way they were being applied to the ordinances. Bill is taking a different approach to understanding the ordinance the way it is written and applying that to builders that are coming in, because the interpretation wasn't the way it was interpreted by most of the people that were going and doing non-conforming redevelopment in the past. I did attend the Lakes Region planning with Dave, Linda, Paul, and Brian. All of us were there, and I think one of the things that was the big takeaway was these zoning changes are in force, and our town has to abide by the state, because the state's has made the decision, and we have to follow it. And so then it comes down to the community center. So this is my opportunity to speak about the community center, since I didn't get a chance. I'd like to thank the ladies for the quilters and everybody that uses the community center. I'm going to speak for somebody that doesn't get to use the community center, and that's the Parks and Rec anymore, because they don't want to put the kids inside the building. We know that there's a hazardous mitigation report out there, but we also have an engineering outfit, Ty and Bond. When we went to review our plans, they're well aware of the asbestos that's in the building. We asked them, can we tear the building down? Well, you know, we wouldn't recommend that. We'd like to be there and review the mitigation of the hazardous aspects while you do the building. And those costs would be incurred in that $250,000 for the CIP. You know, when we first came to this conclusion of closing the building down, we all met at the community center that day. Previous to that, we had gone in to review the community center. There were people there that said, oh, we had to spray the building down with Lysol before we got into the building. In 2018, I went and did the master plan facilities chapter review, and you could smell the mold in the building. Like the Libby Museum, the mold is in the walls and in the building. So just to say it's not there, it is there. The roof is wide open on the community center building. The water's pouring in the tower on the top. The basement floor, when Dave and I went to go in there, Jim Opona said, geez, I wouldn't go in there very long. It's not good for the mold that's coming out of the walls, that's being absorbed out of the ground underneath the building. So back to the Ty and Bond. We had a great afternoon listening to Ty and Bond, because how do you look at this project? Do you look at it as just taking down the MED building? Do you look at it as taking down the firehouse building, or do you look at all the options? And that was one of the things that we were trying to get clarity on. We haven't made any decision, but we want to know all the information so that we can give that to the public so that they can vote on whichever proposal that they want to vote on. In that proposal, we're looking at two levels. We're looking at a senior center up on the top, which is street access, and we're looking at access for the Parks and Rec for the kids down below so that they can access the fields and the other facilities that are very important to the Parks and Rec program. There's a lot of kids that come through our program in the summertime, and I'd like to see them have something, whether or not other people don't think that that's needed. The voters will get to decide that. And we did talk about what the CIP plan is. Did you say, Linda, it wasn't recommended for the 250 for 2026?
It's not complete, but it wasn't one of the ones that got approved.
So this is the problem if we don't. We need to have the $250,000 in so we can have tie and bond start to work on the development of what the site is going to look like, what are the alternatives, and how the different designs will come together. Because if we don't do it in 2026, we can't look at something in 2027, and then we couldn't build something until after 2028, that was our review of the plan. We all agreed that it was a great learning session from Ty and Bond, and we wanted to adopt that process, the three of us. We all had a takeaway. It was a great concept, and they're a great outfit to work with. They had everything down. Don't discount the work that Amy Muccio and everybody else has done on this project. Like Paul said, there were more priorities that got kicked down the road. I would say, yeah, the building wasn't taken care of, but at this point, it was recommended on September at our meeting that we should close it down right now. I said, no. Let's wait, let's give the quilters, let's let them find a place, and then, so we gave them an opportunity for a window, not to say, you're out tomorrow. And that was the whole concept of why we made that plan, to give them a little extra time to find a place. I had gone out and found a place at the library early on. And so the quilters know they do have options, and I'm really happy that they're going to be teaching the kids for sewing classes. But we're not discounting anybody that uses that facility. We are including everybody, and we need to include everybody for the future plan as well. Thank you.
Dave, just wanted to clarify a couple things. And John kind of clarified it, when he's saying we made a decision, it was the three select board members on the subcommittee there. So it wasn't we, all five. And when they said no decisions, he said 4 times, no decisions have been made, but a decision has been made. According to everything that we've seen, the community center is closed. So that's a decision that was made. And that decision was made, and people are not allowed to go in there now, and the board never voted to do that. There's been no vote, no motion or vote to close the building down.
The quilters used it on Tuesday night. So there has not been a vote of this board.
Yeah.
It's closed. That's correct.
I don't remember us voting on it.
No, we didn't.
From what I've heard, the quilters and everybody have told me that they're not allowed in the building after October 1st.
We had a public hearing and there was no motion to close the building.
So the building is open still right now?
Come on up, Erskine.
The sign on the building says that Coffee and Conversations has been moved to Abenaki. That's the sign on the building. I, as the Parks and Recreation Director, was part of that committee, and we decided it wasn't a very safe thing. I have a lot of elderly people in that building, and I know, oh, you only need one egress. However, if something happens in the front of the building, I don't have a good heart that we're picking and choosing who's making it.
So can I?
So all I'm saying is I took the directive, we gave them the 30 days, which is fine. You did not vote on it, but if we're saying the building's unsafe and some of these things, we can't in good conscience let people go in there. So we need to decide what it is. I'm not putting my seniors in there until we know for sure. I've had a new location. So I think it's important for us to take responsibility for that.
And I think we, as a committee, said for you to go when we decided that it should be to the town manager before you put that out. So you did that through that process. There was no vote of this Board of Selectmen, and so that's where.
But I think we do need clarity, because are we picking and choosing who's going in there, and what if something happens now? I just need to understand. For me, I'm not putting my seniors back in there until we have some more clarity.
Good for you.
Okay.
Good for you. Catherine, can I ask you a question? Is that the sign you saw that said coffee? Okay, because if that's the sign you saw, that I just want to make sure that's what you read. Maybe somebody took down the sign that you're thinking about.
We need to make a decision.
That'd be great.
We need to make a decision.
No, I'm not. Anything from the press, Jim? Any questions?
She's not on.
Okay. Just,
No, we're
no.
getting there.
We're getting there.
Hold on.
You're up next. Okay, public input, 3 minutes per person, not to exceed 15.
In total.
Oh, okay. All right. Hold on one second,
I know, it's a mistake on the agenda.
It's 20.
That was at the first section.
What you got?
We made a motion last time to change it so that it said 15.
Correct, we did.
Yeah.
It's near,
And
yes.
so it's a typo.
Let's just go, and if.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We never stop people from talking anyhow.
Right.
I have a number of things that I heard throughout the evening, which is why I waited. My name is Catherine Dragonfly, and each of the people here have made different things, and I won't address anyone in particular, but I think it was you, Brian, that said we have to assess our needs versus our wants. We're always putting our needs ahead of us. And it was Troy Glidden who got up here as a local and said, we don't want change. We're afraid of it. You guys keep changing things. You're sucking the charm right out of this town. I think it's imperative to fix the buildings we have. They have to be a priority, and they're not. In the master plan, it said that we should have a maintenance guy. We never got a maintenance, not a guy, a person. We never got a maintenance person. So if you look at the front of the community center, if you look at the front of the Libby Museum, they're disgusting with dirt. Now, just because the buildings are not in good condition doesn't mean we have to just let them go until it's a major issue and we have to totally rebuild the building from the ground up. There are things, small things that a maintenance man could do. One thing that you said, Paul, was you referred to Jordy and his investors. And that scared me because I never heard the word investors until you said that. And I'd like to know what investors you were talking about.
We're taking input. I'll talk to you after the meeting. Well, or can I speak to it? When I use the word investors, it's people that are going to step forward and put money into a project. A few weeks ago, he said he wanted to get folks who wanted to put money together to renovate the building. I consider that to be an investor.
Okay, I thought you knew of somebody.
No.
Like when you said Jordy and, I thought, oh, this is a group already that's pushing us.
I shouldn't be doing this because this is a public discussion, but my term on an investor is somebody who is going to write a check for the purpose of donating it either to his team or to this town to get the building renovated.
Okay, that leads me to another thing. I saw Alex get up and hand Dave Senecal a check, and then while there was massive chaos in here, we brought up the $60,000 thing, And first of all, I didn't understand why we were okaying a contract. I mean, we were okaying work to go forward when there was no contract. I've never heard of that being done in my life. And I certainly wouldn't want to be on the end of that if something went wrong in those 2 or 3 weeks. When it comes to bonds and interest, we always talk about, let's have a bond and the debt service. We're paying almost $3 million in debt service. But do people know that the bond, when you say that word, you're just going to a bank and asking for money? It's a bond bank. Debt service means interest. And we just have given the town, I don't know whose fault it is, but we seem to have a bottomless credit card in this town. And I think about that $3,000 we could be saving and doing things like the community center, the Libby Museum. We could be taking care of our buildings. We have money in the budget that doesn't get spent. Year after year, it goes back, it gets put back in the budget, it doesn't get spent. So every 3 to 5 years, we have to get a new engineering report, we gotta get this report, that report, do all these inventories, all this different stuff, mold and asbestos, but we never move forward. The lead paint in that building and the asbestos is not going to be a problem unless you're chewing on the windowsills or you're shaking the asbestos. I mean, I've owned 9 houses in this town. 4 of them were very old, and I've lived with asbestos. And I mean, some will say it's hurt me, but.
So, Catherine, let me just tell you 2 quick things. One is that
I have one more thing for you.
we have a very healthy financial state, the town does. We're actually in a healthier financial position than the bond bank. And that's number one. And I'll tell you about the other one later. Well, yeah, I'll tell you later.
Well, the other thing I wonder is when we're putting these numbers before the regular people who don't know the vernacular lingo you all use, could we say we've gone to the bond bank, this is going to be the interest, and by 15 years that $15 million bond is going to turn into $150 million bond. Are you willing to pay that in the long run? Because it's not the first 1, 2, or 3 years. And I think a lot of people get confused. It's just, they say, oh, well, the Board of Selectmen likes this. And then what happens? We just get in trouble there. Above all else, I want to say the wants and needs need to be straightened out in this community. We're too rich, and rich people just go out and buy anything they want. Well, we can't. We're not rich. We're a frugal Yankee town, and we want to keep it that way. The priorities need to get straightened out, and I beg you to get out to these buildings and get somebody just to clean off the front of them so they don't look like sin. The Brian Stockman statue outside the Libby never got uncovered this year. Why? It should have been uncovered so that it could breathe, so it doesn't get moldy, so it dries out, so the people can see it and enjoy it, but it got wrapped in blue for the year. Somebody seemed to have forgot it. And if your kitchen floor is dirty, you're going to sweep it. You're not just going to let it stay dirty. And I don't understand why that keeps happening. I would urge us to please do something different.
Can I respond to your request for the maintenance man? I was on the facilities chapter, evaluated all the facility buildings. Our recommendation was for a facilities manager in 2019. This board, this board had the option to appropriate or put that into the program, and it just hasn't been done. Maybe we should look at it and get it done.
That's not acceptable. If your kitchen floor is dirty, you got to clean it. I'm not saying you in particular, but the master plan called for it. You know, you say you do what the people want, but then it doesn't get done. And I don't know whose issue it is. I'm not pointing fingers, but it needs to be done. And Brian, I love that you're on this board because you think in numbers. You got those numbers all the time, and I've told you that before. But stop telling people you're available by email, by phone. I get a lot of people that say you're not, including myself. We've set up meetings that you haven't fulfilled. So just please stop putting yourself out there. Nobody's asking you to, but you offer. And then when people take you up on it, they expect you to be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak to us before we adjourn?
Bobby Bedman, again. First, thank you for actually hearing. I mean, I know you're there and you're supposed to listen, but I mean, I know I come up here a lot, and you don't always agree with me, but you hear me, and that's important. And Dave, I want you to know that wasn't an attack on you. It's just that it's very important for the citizens of our town, for any elected official to take responsibility for what we do and how our community perceives transparency. Whether we're transparent or not, we can all say, oh, well, it was on the website and it was at this meeting. But sometimes it's about how that transparency unfolds. And I think that is any elected official's job to make sure, especially with the budget and with the warrant and proceeding forward this year, we got to pass our budget. I mean, we have to. We've got, you go through the library, we've got a problem in the basement. It's not getting better. If we're talking about why we're not fixing our buildings and why we have a community center that's not being fixed, it's right now, we have default budgets that we can't even fix water streaming into our basement of our library. So we got to get together. We got to be able to do this year. Couple questions. One, and you addressed two of them, but what happened to 7B, C, and D? Did I miss somewhere at the beginning of the meeting that you guys actually voted to take them off the agenda?
You mean out of the bulk vote, we are going to put it on?
No. Under number 7, there were 3 items, B, C, and D. You brought up Jockey Cove and you brought up the Trask Mountain, but there were actually 3 items on the agenda this evening that just sort of disappeared. And I don't know if just for the citizens and for the community, you probably, because it was published on the website as the agenda, that maybe, that's what I just said. 7B, C, and D were not restricted.
We didn't vote on the manifest, we didn't vote on the betterment, we didn't vote on the...
No, one, it was Wolfeboro Community Television, it was Jockey Cove, and it
They
was Trask.
withdrew. They canceled. They're coming the next meeting.
Okay, the citizens don't know that, and it was on the agenda, so I don't know if just you... No, I'm on the computer, on the website.
That's what she's saying.
Oh.
Draft.
Okay, do you have to, because that's what was published and out in society, do you have to take a vote to just remove them back off the agenda? Because that's what the public believes was on there this evening. I don't know. I'm asking if that's just housekeeping. And then I have a weird question, but how much money did we save in OT with no summer storms this year? I mean, we clearly had budgeted a certain amount of time for OT and having employees.
Why didn't you say OT so people at home hear?
Oh, overtime. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I apologize.
It's good to be clear.
Just because we're, especially when we're looking at that $377,000, $448.52, that's a rather large amount. And if Jim's asking departments to cut back on the overtime from here forward, I'm just wondering if we had already saved some money on not having our crews out there this summer with the lack of rain and the lack of storms. If there's sort of a little pot already in that or not. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Charlene Seibel, and thank you, Bobby, for, thank you for letting me speak, and thank you, Bobby, for asking the question about the agenda item that wasn't addressed. First of all, I want to thank you all for what you do. I know you put in a lot of hours, you're involved in multiple committees, and as someone who's served on boards for a while, I really appreciate all the work you put in. And also, tonight it really seemed as if you were listening to what we all had to say, and I want to thank you for that, echoing Bobby's comments. I also wanted to really urge you, whether it's as a group or a couple of designated members, to meet with the superintendent of schools and our business manager, because today I got an email from my Wolfeboro representative on the school board, Kayla Hewitt, and in the email, it was about some other things, because she's also vice president of the North Wolfeboro Area Association. But she said that I have another important meeting with the school board tonight, urgent need to discuss funding for insurance, etc. So you're surmising that we were going to be in the same boat is apparently coming to fruition. So they were meeting tonight on an emergency basis to discuss the insurance issue. And I want to thank you, Linda, for reading the letter from the Wolfeboro Waters Commission. And I know you said it's going to be posted on the website. I'm not a road engineer, and you know, my soil physics courses I took were decades ago. I personally am finding it counterintuitive and illogical to say that you will get less runoff from a paved road than from a gravel road, especially looking at, I don't know, because I haven't heard an answer to my original question, is the proposal to pave the entirety of Scenic Road, Trask Mountain Road?
I haven't seen the proposal because it was just asking about it. There is not a proposal, it's in front of me, that says it goes from here to here to here. It's talking about the dirt road, and one of the issues that you have with dirt road, it's just not runoff. It's also the dust and stuff that gets in the air that does it all. I will put you in touch with one of the engineers who can answer your question on that, in terms of the effect between dirt and pavement, and I'll make sure that happens.
And it's also maintenance.
I'm sorry?
And it's also maintenance.
Correct. And so I guess what I'm hoping, in addition to, speaking with the engineer, I'm not speaking for the North Wolfeboro Area Association. I'm not a designated representative of that group, although I am a member. I would be very interested in seeing the environmental impact statement. I would be very interested in seeing how this concept, how much it would cost in terms of the retention ponds that you're going to have to create. Trask Mountain Road goes up to an elevation of 1,300 feet and change. You have a significant hill, and I know, because I've called Dave Ford in the past and spoken to someone at the big PW shed, I know that when the crown isn't maintained, you get washout. I know there's a lot of ledge on that road. I also know that I think I heard you all say tonight that you don't have any guarantee that if a pervious surface is used, that it'll be adequately maintained. And so I would like to see the numbers. I know that I think Steve Randall is the PW guy. It's my understanding that he looked at a one-year time frame, and based on that, rather than 10, 15, 20 years, he determined that it was cheaper to maintain pavement than gravel. But I can also tell you, having owned property there for 42 years, well, at least 4 decades, and being very, very much familiar with the road, I would need more information, more scientific data to convince me that there would be less impact to our waterways from paving a road with a significant hill where there's a lot of runoff versus just leaving it as it is. The dust is easily mitigated by calcium chloride. That's something that, usually takes place after they resurface the road. So, do you have?
I'll get
environmental impacts?
I'll get you the engineer and the people, the 2 engineers on Wolfeboro Waters, and you can talk to them. I can't answer any of that.
Okay.
They have their knowledge base.
Okay.
And so I'm more than willing to put you in connection, and you'll have all that information before it comes forward as a warrant article.
So as a member of Wolfeboro Waters Committee, correct? You're a member?
Yep.
You can tell me that you don't have any kind of all you have is the engineers talking to you. You don't have any kind of, analysis or hard copy environmental impact.
Charlene, I will put you, we're not supposed to respond to the public input.
Yeah,
and
no, I
my
appreciate
response to you is, I'll get you in touch with them, and you can talk to me afterwards. I think that's probably the best way for us to do that.
I was just looking for information.
Yep,
So-
I know you are.
And also, this new planner, Bill Scott, I appreciate that you all you know him, you feel like he's highly intelligent. Could someone please let him know that all the ordinances, including the scenic road ordinances, are under the purview of the planner? Because he didn't think it was when I went into the office today. He said that has nothing to do with the planning department. And he told me to just talk to you guys. But that's illogical, because it's always been under the purview of the town planner. Is this a new policy where,
No.
Well, okay, the question. Were you not here earlier when I read all my stuff? I asked the planning department in person for information about the process whereby scenic roads can be altered and how to find that in the ordinances. And his response through Lindsay was that he said, this has nothing to do with the planning department, and I should talk to the select board. And that's a direct quote. So I think he's maybe a little confused, maybe, and maybe someone should tell him that ordinances are under his purview. Yeah? That's my request. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else at this point?
Thank you.
Mine's very quick. I just wanted to please ask, I know that Mr. Thurston and the people that were on the committee for the community center have made up their minds about it, but I ask that please wait till Mr. Hutchinson presents his plan, because otherwise we're looking at, just as you went through, 27, 28, 29, 2030. I might be dead by then, who knows? But, the can has been kicked down the road too long now. So just please keep an open mind to consider everything that is presented. And as I said, I have not had the option to have all that information about everything that you people have. I thought I was going to get that tonight, but obviously I'll have to find it on the website somewhere. Thank you. And thank
Hey.
you for all the work you do. I can see that you spend more time than anybody would possibly imagine.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have stuff to sign.